Mm.
Drivers, start your engines!
Ready. Green flag, all rolling. All the way out. Stay in, come on. Bye-bye, on in. See you later. These guys are really good. Keep digging, stay in the gas. Hang on, dude, baby. Did not hit a thing. Why are you waiting so long, man? Bottom for clear, chasing you down here. White flag, hit your mark.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of NWP. It's been an interesting week. Heck, there's stuff we'll talk about later on that broke while we were getting the intro ready.
Shoot.
Yeah, but we got a ton to talk about this week. Well, you know who I am. You're on my channel. Over here is there is Eric. Down in that corner is Danny, and underneath me is RawGator, aka Trey Normile. How's it going, man?
Good. Hopefully, I'm still kind of flattered that you invited me after all this time of not posting, but I'm excited to talk some NASCAR for the first time in a long time. I think my first time on the podcast, I think, was like 5 years ago now.
Damn,
Mine too. No.
we've had a bad habit of having long gaps, and we're trying to rectify that this year. So,
Yeah.
But let's get on into it here. First off, we had an interesting weekend. I think let's start off with the Cup, as we normally do, and let's start off really quick. I want to start with a broad thing before we get to the winner, before we get to the interesting stuff that happened in the middle of the race at the end of stage 2. This race was completely and utterly Penske and Gibbs dominated in one way or another. Either the 3 Penske cars were running top 5 all day, or there was a Gibbs car, mostly Christopher Bell, but a Gibbs car up towards the front. Eric, you want to lead us off on that?
Yeah, I mean, jumping right into the race, it was the Christopher Bell show. I think he's established himself as probably the championship favorite if he gets to Phoenix. He won the Phoenix race in March, led a bunch of laps. I think Toyota led almost every lap in that race. Gateway, probably the closest track we have to compare to Phoenix. It's not really the same. I don't even think it's the exact same rules package, but similar. And he dominated this race, had the best car by far, until engine issues there in the closing laps, just completely unexpected. How often do we see engines break in the next gen car, in the next gen era? It's pretty rare, especially among front runners. I've heard people speculate what the issue was. I think Bell even said, I think I saw like an Instagram post, he explained what the issue was, but I still, in my head, I want to know what caused it. And I don't want to like unfairly assign blame and say, hey, he was battling Blaney really hard. They shift a lot. Maybe Bell made a mistake. I don't want to like unfairly assign that blame, but it seems like no coincidence that the fastest car all day blew up when he was racing the hardest he had all day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm just going to chalk it up to a real bad break. Bell had a good break with the way the Charlotte race ended. Bad break here at Gateway. Still got a top 10 out of it. But I'm with you, Jared. I think Joe Gibbs Racing and Penske showed out. Bell especially made a statement despite not winning.
Danny? Sorry, I was drinking some water. It's humid in here. That's why we started late.
It's all good. Yeah, it's Bell going out like that. Kind of a bummer because it was a good battle going on there when we weren't interrupted by dual shots of a kid for some reason. But no, the battle itself was pretty good. But then I wasn't shocked to see Blaney up there because his finish didn't reflect. But the first 2 years, like him and Logano have all had really good finishes at Gateway so far. So I wasn't shocked to see him up there. Logano, for what it's worth, was kind of around a top 10 most of the day. And then ultimately we know about Cindric. We'll talk about him more in a little bit. So I wasn't shocked to see Penske up there. And why I even had Austin Cindric as my underdog pick was based on those performances we've seen in the past from Blaney and Logano. I thought, okay, if these two are capable of getting the setup right, then, honestly, an improved Cindric this year, his team should be able to get a fairly good setup. And ultimately, I don't think that I was wrong for not picking him to win, because ultimately I think he would have just been, had it not been for the gas situation, he was just an underdog. He was happened to be up there in the top 5, and luck ran his way.
No, I do want to give you credit for that, Danny. Like, I know we don't really keep track of underdog picks, but as underdog picks go, that was one of the best we've ever seen on this show, because no one ever talks about Austin Cindric on this show or any show. Nobody talks about Austin Cindric because he's been virtually invisible since his Daytona 500 win. But for you to go out there and make that choice, he ran top 5 all day. Like, give yourself some credit.
He made me wish that we had a clause where if your underdog happens to win, you got like a bonus point, because how rare does that happen?
Yeah. What do you think of I'd say of Penske in general on this, Trey?
Yeah, well, obviously Penske ran a good race with they had their 2 cars, 1 and 2 with a few to go. But Logano is kind of I feel like he's kind of been the guy lacking behind this season. I couldn't tell you where he finished. Maybe one of you guys would know, but yeah, I mean, Penske is getting to where they need to be, and I think maybe it's a good thing that Austin Cindric won, so they can guarantee maybe one more car than what would have been in the playoffs can make it now. Because I don't know if Cindric was going to make it necessarily, but maybe it works in their favor as we head into the next few months and get ready for the playoffs.
So it is interesting. Logano finished 5th, but if you look at the playoff grid right now, Cindric winning basically knocks Logano out. I think Logano is now the second guy out, minus like 10 or 14 points. So, I mean, you feel confident in 11 races, Logano will race his way back in. So I think to your point, I'm pretty confident. You go look at Jarrett prepared, ready to throw the points up on screen.
He's got to go after Buescher right now. And
I don't feel comfortable with any of those guys on the bubble, even up to Ryan Blaney, quite honestly, which is ironically another Penske driver. Yeah. Big picture, this will be interesting. This could have been awesome for Penske because they'll get all 3 in, or it could be bad as their more likely championship contenders could get knocked out.
I'm sure we'll have plenty more time to talk about this, but we got to talk about how far Kyle Busch is falling real fast.
Yeah. Who do you guys blame, Kyle or Kyle?
I think people were wrong for blaming Kyle, but Kyle was really dumb in this situation, and Kyle should have punched Kyle square in the mouth, in my opinion, over this.
Yeah, it was something. Do we want to talk about that and then get to Cindric?
Yeah, why not? Poor Cindric.
Let's do it.
He's even an underdog in our order of talking.
Shoot. Even an oversight on our itinerary. No,
this has happened the last few weeks. All the winners have been overshadowed by other stuff.
That's the thing this NASCAR season, even when the racing is okay, there's always some highlights. And in this case, maybe a low light between Kyle and Kyle. We've seen plenty of highlight reel moments from the Kyle and Kyle show. But in this case, I don't know. My take is Kyle Busch needs to get out of his feelings. He is costing himself and his team. Was he solely responsible for the crash? No. Larson had the opportunity maybe to lift early, back out of it once he realized that he was being pinned down, raced so hard. But ultimately, Kyle Busch, who coming into this race was right there on the cut line, right there on the bubble. Every point matters. He needs to not let his emotions get away from him, and he has no reason to door Larson down the front straightaway, pinch him down the way he did. He's just putting himself in a vulnerable position that he can't afford right now. So the wreck itself, I say it's 50-50, but maybe even 60-40 Larson's fault. But Kyle Busch put them both in a vulnerable position, and he had no business doing that. It was just dumb racing on his part.
Well, honestly, I'm surprised we didn't hear anything from NASCAR about this, because Kyle Busch theoretically should be on hot water a little bit after a North Wilkesboro situation. And then this, just kind of another thing on top of it.
What do you think, Trey?
Yeah, I agree with Danny. He's in kind of some hot water. I'm surprised. I figure NASCAR probably is monitoring him a little more by now. But it doesn't help his case that he's getting into all these little scuffles and accidents, and he's not even running well to begin with. So, yeah, he's got to get it together before the end of the season, especially if he wants to keep his, what is it, one win a year at least win streak for to hit 20 years. So he's got to turn it around.
This is truly the point where we have to say, look how far he has fallen. A year ago, he wins this race. This year, he has wrecked he is wrecking out with Kyle Larson. But to his credit, at least he was racing around Kyle Larson. But still,
For eight.
he went from winning this race a year ago to wrecking out.
I did see a clip someone shared on X, I think. I don't remember who posted it. And it was like, oh, wow, how the mighty have fallen. And it was just a clip of Kyle Busch getting passed by Austin Dillon in this race.
That is true. He did get passed by Austin Dillon for second at some point in this race. And that was wild.
Dillon finished top 10. Or did he? No, wait. Did Austin Dillon finish top 10? Where did he end up?
There were actually quite a few surprising finishes in top 10 that we need to acknowledge, actually, in this one.
Let's acknowledge everyone but Austin Cindric first. I like this bit. Let's keep going.
I want to give a little piece, though, on the Busch thing. This is how I see it. And I know we overuse this phrase, but I really feel like this is just hard racing deal, whichever way you want to summarize it. For me, Kyle Busch should not have put himself in that position. You're racing at the end of stage 2. Like, I get points are important and all that, but was the risk for finishing 7th or 8th in stage 2 really worth finishing last? Like, I don't think so. But at the same time, I do think in part it also is on Larson. Like, why are you basically going to the rumble strips? Like, maybe it's the waiver thing, and maybe he thinks he has to get all these points or something like that. I don't know. Personally, I don't.
He's also just Kyle Larson. No, I'm with you. I think Larson shares probably slightly more of the blame for the wreck itself, but Busch put him in that position. Larson could have backed out, but that's not the kind of driver he is, and that's where I think Busch does need to be aware of his surroundings.
And we're sitting here talking about Kyle Larson being in this wreck. Did you know he was the best finishing Hendrick car? He still got a top 10. He finished 10th. And he was still the best finishing Hendrick car. Chase Elliott got 13th, Byron 15th, and just ruined the prediction mine. Alex Bowman 28th. Definitely didn't get that 3 top 10s I was hoping for.
He battled brake issues, apparently. I'll cut him some slack.
Yeah. Real quick for the poll, 68% blame Kyle, whereas 32% blame Kyle. So
wow, I think they got this one wrong. Sorry, Chad. I
don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. Kyle was the right answer.
Yeah, we gotta get a better replay out here.
Kyle's been out of line. I mean, even NASCAR is looking into all the stuff that Kyle has been doing the last 2 weeks, and that strangely fits both of them, actually, the more I think about it. But yeah, I mean, real quick, before we talk about our winner, why don't we talk about everybody else?
I love this.
So, top 5, I'd say outside of Cindric, pretty chalk. Dillon, though, in 6th, looking like he deserves to actually maybe be around a 3 car, which I'll say this. He was running kind of in the back, but they did a strategy, and he was good enough to stay up there with that strategy. So
he started 18th, to give him credit. So
yeah, and you got Hocevar. He was my underdog pick. He comes home 8th, and Justin Haley, man, another top 10, 9th.
Nuts. I saw another stat today from someone. I need to do a better job of crediting these people instead of just giving them vague shout outs. But someone else showed how every car has performed at this point in the year this year compared to last year. And the 51 car is like plus 100 something points better this year than the same time last year. That's all Justin Haley, I feel like.
I'm going to pull a classic NASCAR YouTuber move here and go to Justin Haley's racing reference for just 1 second. Because I want to see if he's got more top 10s this year than last year. No, he hasn't. But he's on track to still do decent. He's had 2 this year. He had 6 last year, so he's already got a third of the top 10s he had last year. It's arguably a worse car.
What I want to look up is the owner points. Can I find owner standings? Here we go. Owner standings how is he running compared to Colleague Racing? Rick Ware, I see he is 31st in owners points, whereas both. No, yes, both. No, one of the Colleague cars, the 16, I believe. No, which one is this? It's not telling me. One of the Colleague cars is 28th in owners points. The other is 33rd. So he is smack dab in between them in a Rick Ware car, which tells me maybe this was the lateral move he claimed it to be.
See, but I think you grid in a curve. If this is lateral with where Rick Ware Racing was, this is a move up because that's a team ascending versus a team floundering.
True.
I mean, just think back, a few years ago would anyone have seen it as a good move to go to Front Row Motorsports back in, say, 2018? Probably not. But now look at them, and that was not even that long of a distance from each other.
Hey, real quick, not to derail us, but I heard it on the broadcast. And am I getting old or something? What is Fugazi?
I was just about to bring that up when I saw Zavi Dodd Row Racer bring that up. Yeah, I don't even think it's pronounced Fugazi. It's Fugazi. I think that's the way it's pronounced. That was
I know it's Harvick's
that was
word
a word.
Am I just
It-
old?
It went over my head. I didn't know what that word meant.
And this just goes into, if you followed me on Twitter, I know a lot of people saw this. It got way more attention than I thought it would. All these tweets that I was doing about Fox, I was just so annoyed, more so than ever in this broadcast. Some of the production moves that were happening. This was obviously a production move. There's no way you could tell me Kevin Harvick just randomly fought to say this word and wasn't fed that by somebody.
Yeah, it's his word of the week that they do on his podcast, which sometimes hits and then sometimes it's a little overplayed. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Stop getting these guys to do stuff that doesn't feel natural.
Okay, two things really quick. So I'm not gonna be looking. I check everything during the stream, especially when it's on my channel. I'm just on all over the place, and I saw twice my dad text me. First off, he said it's a band. I think it's might be an older band, but he. So I can tell he's in the Midwest and not down in Texas. He asked if Eric was wearing a Wonder Woman t-shirt.
I said, right now, is he watching the stream?
Yeah.
Well, I saw that, and I thought Whataburger, but I kind of looks like Wonder Woman, though.
It does. It is. It's very supercharged and heroic, but no, it is Whataburger. Whataburger's mascot for a while was like some superhero guy. He was kind of ugly looking. I think they retired him.
Wasn't Wonder Woman, not Gal Gadot.
It is very ironic, the meaning of Fugazi, because the meaning that Harvick gave was damaged beyond repair. That's the first meaning it has. The second meaning is how it sounds hearing Kevin Harvick say Fugazi. That means not genuine, fake.
Seeing how we're talking about Fox really quick, Danny, let's zoom in on one of our members of the show here, since we're being like Fox. We sure? We're doing good? We doing this right, Fox?
Yep, there I am.
Yes.
Nibbling on my nails.
Gotcha. Maybe we should get back to talking. Now I got to readjust it live on stream again.
I'll kick us off. Let's talk about Austin Center. Let's talk about the finish.
Sure?
I think
can't talk about.
Why do we have to talk about the winner?
We've played this bit out long enough. This is Austin Cindric's time to shine. He gets the win. He'd been irrelevant all season. I think he had one top 5 all year, and it was at Atlanta at the beginning of the season. I think that was his only top 10 of the season for that matter. But he breaks through and gets the win in convincing fashion. I know he wasn't the fastest car, but he was top 5 all night. What was going through y'all's heads when, I guess let's start when Bell runs or blows his motor. What was the thought process there? What was your reaction? Give me like a facial. Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay, I didn't really freak out like that, but I was shocked, but at the same time, this random thought came in my head because I remember saying last week that I thought that Christopher Bell would definitely have had no problem winning the Coke 600. But then I realized this was only a 300-mile race. There's no guarantee that something wouldn't have happened last weekend. So that kind of gave me a wonder. It's like, maybe he wasn't going to win that race after all. But anyways, that's what I thought.
I thought it could have been something like a rotor before his engine ever blew up, because I feel like the engine's going like that in the next gen just doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was more like you, Iceberg. Maybe not that extreme, but yeah, that was kind of my reaction too.
I don't know why, but when it happened too, I was like I was at the race. So I guess good job on Fox for that part of the ending. Got me that immersed with it. Or maybe it's just it was a good ending. But I pointed at the screen like I was there, and like someone like crashes and you point at the track. I was like, oh, like I don't know why I did that, but when that happened, and I will admit, after that, I felt really disappointed because I was like, this was going to be a really badass battle between Blaney and Bell.
It had already been. I mean, Bell had passed Blaney, cleared him, and Blaney was able to get back around him. Like Ryan Blaney was we can transition a little. Ryan Blaney's who I feel even worst for. You didn't have the dominant car, but he did everything right those last 50 laps or whatever. He was flawless. In fact, he was beyond flawless. He was stupendous. He looked like Wonder Woman or some other superhero out there that he was able to hold off Christopher Bell as long as he did. Bell had 18 lap fresher tires, I think, and he still held off the fastest car all day the way he did. I mean, I feel that for him that he didn't win the race because Blaney put on a heck of a drive. If they do like a driver of the day in NASCAR, I would have probably given it to Ryan Blaney just for those last 50 laps.
Well, and Bell was the only one who was actually able to pass people at will in this race.
Yeah,
like, he was the only one. Like, you
just
know,
like Phoenix.
Yeah, and we can talk a bit about it if we want, but like the racing itself for a majority of the day was middling, I think, at best. Like, it had
okay
moments, but it's for the most part, it's like you knew that like air is going to be an issue. These tires weren't going to wear all that much. And then you have Christopher Bell, who's just like easy mode on, and we're going.
What was crazy was midway through this race, he pit for 2 tires. A bunch of others came out right behind him on 4, and he just gapped them. Like, he was working his way up into the top 5, and they were all in 10th. Like, I'm like, he's on 2 tires. That car's insane. That car's unreal. So
and I love
it stings that he lost.
We were supposed to talk about Cindric, and we talked about Blaney, and we talked about Bell.
We are getting there. Blaney running out of gas. I mean, that's heartbreaking. I think I heard Harvick compared it to when Junior ran out of gas in 2011 at Charlotte. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other heartbreaking. Kyle Busch and Logano ran out of gas at the end of Pocono 2015. I'm trying to think of other recent actual fuel mileage races where the leader ran out of gas. There's not many. Maybe I'm blanking on
Daytona
one.
500, I believe. Was it Elliott that ran out towards the end?
Oh, there was some fuel concerns. I don't remember it being quite as shocking. Maybe I'm wrong.
Or was
Maybe
it Larson? I know both of them were up front in that race. Either way,
yeah.
But I do feel for Blaney, and I'm glad that they didn't at the very moment. You know how sometimes they'll put on like the last lap, the spotters, radio back and forth with the driver. Good job on Fox not putting that on, because I can imagine, knowing Blaney, he probably expletive.
Yeah, and he calms down immediately after he gets out of the car. He gave a very like exasperated, sure, but like very level-headed interview. But yet behind the wheel, he is nuts. I mean, goodness gracious.
I did feel for him, because my God, he had it. I mean, he had it in the bag. I can't remember the last time we've seen somebody who at a non-super speedway race has had it in the bag as much as he has coming to the white, lose it like that. And no fault of his own.
I think the only thing that comes to my mind is Larson Pocono 2021 when he blew the tire and Bowman won. That's the only thing.
That's comparable. That's a similar like, oh my gosh kind of moment that you just didn't. Yeah.
And I'll forever remember that for the edit of that finish with Michael Maroot singing "My Heart Will Go On." Okay, we've held it off long enough. We are 25 minutes past the hour, and we're going to talk about our winner, Austin Cindric.
Everyone's favorite fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and everyone's favorite tuba player finally gets enough wins to match his cup number.
That was funny on pit road at Nashville last year. I was like, hey, I just need to make sure, like, you're a huge Avatar fan, right? He's like, well, yeah, of course. I'm like, let's go. Like, I had to be sure. So I'm happy a fellow Avatar fan won. But I want to come to his defense a little, because I get it. It's a weird win like that. Everyone will say this and that or whatever. But I do not think this was a Mickey win. This wasn't a guy who ran 18th all day, sucked.
Top 5 all day.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember a point of the day outside of like pit stops or weird restart strategies that I thought of him being below like 3rd or 4th on track.
I remember tweeting at one point, I think he was on the 4-tire strategy, and behind Bell, he was the next best guy who had pit. He was working his way up back into the top 10, even after losing that track position. Like, that's the thing. He qualified well. He qualified second, and then he stayed up front. We've seen some of these drivers, like we'll see Stuart Haas cars qualify top 5 and then fade by the end of stage 1.
I think about McDowell on the pole and what happened to him. Great
example, but it happened to McDowell. That's what you expect from Austin Cindric. I'll just be honest. You expect him to fade, and he just never, ever faded. And yeah, you could tell it was. I think I tweeted that this was the best performance we've seen from him at a non-super speedway maybe ever.
I'll
and
say
that was like
best ever.
that was like midway through stage 2, and I mean, kudos to him for finishing it off. So it wasn't a Mickey win. It was, if anything, it was like Eric Almirola's win at New Hampshire a couple of years ago, where it's like you didn't suspect him all year, let alone at that track, but he earned that win. Like in that race, you're like, yeah, he was easily top 2 or 3 car. Give it to him.
I think he is a driver, and it's kind of ironic. His first race in a next gen car, he won. But what I'm about to say is he is a driver who I think has struggled in this change from the next gen, because the Gen 6, when he first came in and he did a few part-time races in the 33 back in 2021 on some road courses.
He was good.
Maybe a couple others. He looked legitimately good. He looked good enough to win races and look like, hey, this might be your next road course guy. He has not yet won a road course, sadly. But I think that car was a lot more similar to the Xfinity car he was coming out of, and going to this car has not been a good change for him. Maybe he's just starting to get comfortable in it.
Sorry, I want to ask you and kind of lead off to another part of the conversation with this is I'd say if he gets past a round of 16, that's success this year. Like what odds, I guess, would you give to him? Likely, unlikely, whatnot, that he could make it to the second round. And from there with Talladega, like it's on.
Yeah, to make it to the second round. So I don't know. I'd say like maybe like 30%, 40% to make it to the round of 12 seems reasonable.
I like that. Because you think of it, sorry, not to cut you off, but like they have Atlanta as the playoff opener this year. And then isn't Watkins Glen in the first round?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, theoretically, he could be top 10 in both those tracks. Like,
a couple tracks he might be performing pretty well at. So, yeah, even knowing that, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know that before you said that. Maybe I'd bump it up to 50.
Yeah, well, you said 40. I'm like, yeah, I'd probably go about 40. Maybe, I'd give him a 40% chance.
Checking in real quick to see how he did at Bristol, because that's also in that, which Bristol this year was just craziness.
I think that's also in the first round.
He finished 31st.
We'll check the year before, because I have a feeling the weather isn't going to be the same, and just I think we're going to see a more normal Bristol race. Because if we see how we did last fall, that might be a better gauge. It might not be good, but it would be a better gauge. Listen, I hope. Because I personally like Centric's personality. I like kind of the dry humor, kind of wit to him. I think he's shown in the Xfinity, same as Chase Briscoe and Noah Gragson, that he has talent. The talent is there. He just hasn't put it together. I hope that this can be the start of a turnaround. But it's like this is one of his best tracks outside of a super speedway. It's probably his best track. So I don't want to get ahead of myself on that.
People who, unfortunately don't get the amount of opportunities we get to be in the garage area may not get to see this as much, but I mean, Austin Cindric legitimately has a lot of personality and is a pretty funny, he's a pretty nice guy. Him and Todd Gilliland and throw in Harrison Burton in that mix have a unique friend group that when those three are together, they will literally talk to anybody and just have, treat you as well as if you're one of them.
You know what they remind me of? And I think I could say this now because it's been like over a decade since I did it. Story time with Jarrett. It reminds me kind of me and my friend group around the time I was like in my sophomore, junior year of high school. Not to say that they're like, the maturity of a high schooler, but I've set as my voice cracks. But I've set my the funny story of this. So when we were teenagers, me and my friends would do really stupid things as you do. And one of them was we got this big ass thing of matches, had like 10,000 matches in it. We wanted to see how many we could light up at once. I remember we were completely sober, nothing out of the ordinary with us in any way, except for like one of my friends had torn his ACL, so he had some meds for pain on that part of it. But he wasn't doing anything. He was just watching and laughing at us. And I just like, let's see, screw it. And I just grabbed a handful, ripped it off, and had a huge ball of fire through it. And I accidentally melted my friend's basement carpet down to the cement underneath. And my point is, I could see them doing that together. Because I'd have seen
burning a hole in the floor.
Well, I've seen multiple times where they've been like golfing and one of them ends up bleeding. Like, how?
I will say they're going to have to do it quickly because I think Cindric winning and Todd Gilliland getting a multi-year extension we'll talk about later. Harrison Burton is also in year 3, and he's not had anywhere near the success nor the improvement. I think this
No.
solidifies Cindric for at least a couple more years in the 2. Obviously, we know Todd is secure, but it reflects even worse, I think, on a Harrison Burton who also in year 3 has not improved.
I know we'll talk about it more later, but I do just want to give a quick shout out to Todd Gillen on that. Man, what a difference a few years makes. A couple years ago, he is reduced to part-time, having to go finish this season with Rick Ware in the slots where he didn't have his front row car. And now he is set up to be the guy, provided they don't go out and get a crazy veteran, but he is, going to be the veteran guy at front row and an expanding front row at that.
Yeah. Wow. How the tide has turned for Todd Gilliland.
Yeah,
Austin Cindric won.
Yeah.
I guess we can move on.
I feel bad. It's like we literally spent 5 minutes about him, and half of it was other drivers and me setting my friend's carpet on fire when I was 16.
That's true.
All right. We can talk about his tuba some more and Avatar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm by the way, I put a poll up. I'm gonna end it right now. 49% say round of 16, 40% say round of 12, 8% say final 4, and 2% say round of 8.
Bold.
I like that there's more confidence he makes it all the way to the championship race than people who thinks he goes to the round of 8.
I think people at that point, Jarrett, did I get arrested for arson? No, actually nobody but the 3 of us found out until now.
Have the statute of limitations run out on that?
Well, let's hope. We hear the sirens come past right now.
Going back to that poll, I just want to say I would love to be more confident he gets past the round of 16, but I just can't do it. I don't see, even though I felt confident in him for this one, I just don't see it enough right now long term.
Yeah, I mean, before this, his other top 10 was Atlanta. And what was his best finish other than that? Like 14th or something, or 19th? Like he has not shown the speed to be up there. That's why I'm not going to go too far and be like, man, this is the turn. Like, I hope it is, but he feels like bounce in the first round type of driver.
He has saved his seat at least for a little bit longer, which he was never really in danger because of his dad is anyways. But he has saved him being in what I call Penske's flagship car by getting it a win. Which now, oddly enough, I said this after Brad Keselowski won Darlington. I said him and Austin Cindric have the same amount of wins. Now they do not.
Real quick, kind of to end off, before we get to kind of playoff stuff, and we'll kind of add in a little playoff news on top of just looking at the cut line. There's one good thing and one bad thing from this weekend for the track. First, the good thing. Let's start off with that. The crowd was amazing again.
Dude, they show up. You need to keep going to St. Louis. This crowd has showed up year after year. As much as I love Nashville Super Speedway, man, that crowd has dipped ever since that 2021 race.
Yeah, and it's not like the crowd either is like one of those 20,000 seat facilities. I think it's still somewhere they've reduced capacity a bit from when it was like 100,000, but I think it's somewhere between like 50 and 60 still, or like on top of like other standing room, infield, all of that. So I wanted to point that out. On the other end, this is the 3rd straight year of in some way internet or track issues happening. And it's ironic that the internet went out for some of the teams, so they didn't have their SMT data at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Rough.
Let's put it like this. If Jarrett was to ever, he was media, me and him were media at the very first race at this track. If we were to go back and be media again, Jarrett could not do his live streams because when we were in there, the download and upload speed was literally 3 megabytes per second in the media center.
Yeah,
which is not enough to do what we do.
Last year, I had to go to where the car was parked on the top of the hill an hour and a half after the race to stream, and it still had glitching issues. And it's not like it's in the middle of nowhere either. So like that needs to get fixed.
I believe I was ready to make my interviews and stuff after the race, put them up on YouTube and wherever else I put them. But I had to wait forever just because I couldn't upload them to Dropbox and download them and then do what I needed to. It just was it's, I don't, surely St. Louis can get AT&T fiber. I mean, come on, guys.
What's crazy to me on that note is I forget how close this track is to the city. Like that helps with attendance.
Way close.
This track is 9 minutes on Google Maps away from the Gateway Arch, which is right there in downtown. It's next to like Busch Stadium and all that stuff. Like that's that just goes to show you bring the racing to the people show up, so.
And then last off on the weekend, we briefly touched upon this earlier. I'm going to pull up again the cut line here and playoff stuff. And I think we can kind of add in, I know we should probably just make it its own thing, but I think we can add in the big giant elephant in the room when it comes to the playoffs and what we found this week. So here is the cut line. It has not changed. You got your guys like Truex, Gibbs, I'd say even Bowman and Chastain and Blaney all pretty safe in. You've got your guys in the cut line. And the cut line didn't move in any way because NASCAR also had granted Kyle Larson his playoff waiver.
We can't milk that cow no more.
I mean, we could just put our heads in the sand and pretend. It was funny, though. Denny Hamlin on his podcast was like, yeah, there was one specific person who at the top of NASCAR was getting in the way, and this specific person was really disagreeing with a lot of people. It wasn't a bunch of people, just one specific person. And I'm like, I'm going to take a wild guess that there's one person he really doesn't like, and I think his name is...
It rhymes with Blim Drance.
Yeah. I'm going to take a wild guess that's who it is. I don't know if it's like Voldemort, you can't say his name or something, but... Denny pretty much outed who the big issue was, and I think it was within 20 hours of that podcast going and fully posted. It's like, waiver's done. It's good.
Yeah, I think it's the right call ultimately. Kyle Larson and Hendrick put NASCAR in a really tough spot. They did. I think they misled NASCAR and told them all along that, hey, we're going to go to Charlotte. If shit hits the fan, we'll be in Charlotte. You have our word. And then they went back on their word and said, nope, we're staying in Indy. We spent $3 million on this. We're staying here. And NASCAR said, what? We have 100,000 paying customers in Charlotte right now expecting to see you, and you are not coming? So I completely understand NASCAR being upset. I think they had every right to be upset, but I also think their hands were tied. They had to grant a waiver because what are you going to do? Disqualify Larson in June? You're really expecting us to go the next 5 months with the best driver, arguably in the series, not being playoff eligible? Good luck explaining that one to fans. So I think their hands were tied, but I don't blame them for being upset and for dragging it on as long as they did. I don't even blame Jim France for being upset. I really don't. I actually think Jim France is perfectly valid. His opinion is perfectly valid, but ultimately they made the right decision. It'll be interesting going forward if anyone else tries to do the double, if NASCAR makes it abundantly clear ahead of time, hey, we come first. If stuff goes wrong, we come first. Well, that'll be interesting to see if anything changes there.
Since we haven't had you on until now, Trey, I kind of want to see your position on this whole waiver deal. Is there a specific side you're on, or how do you kind of look at the way this whole deal's went?
To be honest with you, I'm on Larson's side. And I say that because you're prepping for this Indy 500, one of the biggest races you'll ever race in. You're prepping, getting this all planned for months. You qualify the car fifth. You want to race in the race. You don't just leave the track, I think, in one of the biggest races you'll ever race in. But yeah, like you said, NASCAR's hands become tied. And I think, I do side with Larson, and then missing one race is, he didn't intend to fully miss the entire race. He made it to the track and wanted to race it, but it got rained out or fogged out, whatever you want to call it. But I side with Larson. I think it's good that NASCAR ended up granting his waiver. I think part of it too is NASCAR fans, fans of certain drivers who are not Kyle Larson. They're scared of Kyle Larson a little bit, don't want him to make the playoffs. So yeah, I side with Larson, and I'm glad NASCAR made their decision to grant him a waiver personally.
I will say, before we go back to just the cut line on this, I do disagree with what I believe Elton Sawyer was saying, how they're not really going to evaluate the waiver rule or anything like that. I think now is the prime opportunity to make this the cutoff. We are going to be more strict from this point forward. We need to address this. I mean, because I think fans have pointed out, rightfully so, this entire waiver system, controversies that have happened from it, it has become a long drawn out joke in many ways, where it's I mean, we make the joke of like, oh man, if I stub my toe too hard, I'll get a waiver from NASCAR. You know, if I retire and then show up 4 races into the year during a pandemic, I'll get a waiver from NASCAR. I mean, like, you're a Kenseth fan, and even I remember you at the time even saying, I don't think you should, but I'm happy about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
no, well, my counter to that, I've heard a lot of people, even Harvick, and I was confused with the point Kevin Harvick was trying to make on his podcast this week. He seemed to be making the point that we should just get rid of waivers. Like, that's not a thing. Like, if you win a race, you're in the playoffs. That's all that matters. Like, who cares if you miss? You don't need to wait. And I disagree. I think the waiver rule honestly should stay exactly as written. I just think that little common sense clause, unless otherwise authorized by NASCAR, it needs to be, this is the one rule that needs to be vague, because ultimately that rule is in place. The rule that you must start all races to be playoff eligible, that rule is in place to protect us.
You should have a legitimate reason to not be in the race.
Because otherwise you'll have drivers, maybe not now, but if the business model changes, you'll have drivers and maybe even teams skipping races. You will have a driver this weekend. Denny Hamlin might say, hey, I suck at Sonoma. That's a long trip.
We're going to the beach.
Sonoma doesn't pay very well. Let's just not go. We have 3 wins. We're not going to get any playoff points. Let's just sit at home. It's not going to happen now, but the business model has changed a lot in 5 years, 5 years from now. The point is that rule is in place to protect the fans. It's there to ensure that the star drivers show up to every race. If you're paying a lot of money to travel to a race, getting a ticket to the race, you should expect your favorite driver is in the race unless he's injured. And so in that respect, I think the rule's fine.
I don't think this is the main problem. I think it's a symptom of the problem is we've enabled it to be easier to miss these races. I don't think they will because of contractual obligations, because of the backlash. I mean, if you find out like somebody's like, I skipped this race because I got a sunburn in Cancun the other week. Like, I think there will be a rightful outrage towards that driver. I don't care if you're Chase Elliott. I don't care if you're Dale Earnhardt Jr. at his peak, Bill Elliott. You will get a ton of blowback from that, from your fans. So I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that we've enabled it to the point now. I mean, say what you want. I am fully in disagreement on the Kyle Busch waiver he got back in 2015, missing a third of the season, but he had to make it to a certain point. He had to make it to the top 30, which is a very low-ass bar, but he missed a lot of races in doing that. Now, with taking that rule out, you have enabled the ability to do this and miss these kind of races. We all know where I stand on the playoffs and points and all that. I mean, this is the way NASCAR changed that rule a couple years ago, fully enabled now. This is the only system that without a waiver, you would be able to skip races willingly if you had a good enough excuse. And I think NASCAR, whether it's, you have to maybe make I don't know. You could make a rule like all chartered drivers have to be full-time or something like that. But I just think that this whole conversation, this whole can of worms, as Joey Logano put it, it's been opened up, is completely made by NASCAR, and they have no one else, whether you're Jim France, Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell, Mike Helton, you name, nobody but themselves to blame for this, unless it was the TV providers asking. Then at that their part.
I guess I just don't really think it's that controversial. I just think it's, if you get hurt driving a race car, if you get hurt in NASCAR and the Kyle Busch one, he missed like 10, 11 races. That's borderline. I'm with you there. I will give you that. The points format was also a little different. It was structured differently back then. You point out the top 30 rule.
It was way
used
dumber.
to be yes, it was. So I got to put myself back in 2015 seat and reassess. But in general, like I don't think it's that controversial. I think Eric Jones misses 2 races because he got blasted at Talladega. That's fine. Give him waiver. Is that controversial? I don't think it should be. Chase Elliott snowboarding and hurting his leg, okay, that's debatable, but at the end of the day, you want your stars playoff eligible, and I think that's fine. There will become a point where if someone were to miss a dozen races for injury, NASCAR would have a hard decision. Yeah, it would be a harder decision today with the points the way they are. But there's no top 30 rule. The top 30 rule at least made the Kyle Busch, you felt like he still had to earn it. And he still won a bunch of races that regular season, even with missing all that time, which was impressive. So there could come a point where it gets controversial, but I just don't think it is yet. And I think it's going to take something very extreme to get us there. Even this Larson case, I understand why there was some animosity or some angst, but at the end of the day, there was only one right answer. The question was, how are they going to convey that to us? And I guess their reasoning was, hey, Larson tried to get to Charlotte late, but he tried, so that was good enough for us. It's like, okay, I guess that works. But there was no, I guess I just don't feel like the waivers are as controversial as a lot of people have made them out to be. Like, I look at Kyle Busch's 2015 championship as 100% legitimate within the rules of that format. I think that format was a little screwy, within the rules of the format,
terrible. It was.
I look at it and say he was. I mean, when he came back from injury, he was the best driver in NASCAR since coming back from injury that year.
I can agree on that.
This is something like way different scenario, but it's actually a good scenario from Duke Chronic. If in the instance it would happen, he said it'd probably take like a DUI or something like that to not get the waiver.
Depends on who you are, probably.
I think in the past, haven't they? There've been a couple of like truck or Xfinity drivers who got suspended for. Wasn't Spencer Gallagher? Was he one that got suspended and did not get a playoff waiver? That was like 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
Like, even if you don't change the rule itself, you need to be cut and dry. Like, this is what we can do. This is what we can't. There's a certain amount of time you can or can't miss. Like, even then, it has to be strict. You have to make, like, there's no point in a rule if you make it lax. Like, if you just, I'll put it like this, like speeding on pit road. Like, they give that 5 mile an hour back and forth just because every now and then it is going to be difficult to straddle that line. I mean, there's been times we've been in our cars where you're listening to music or something, or you're talking to your friend and you're like, holy Jesus, how the hell am I going 90? I thought I was going 65. Like, you just don't realize, like, stuff like that. I get. But there is a cut and dry line, and that's what needs to be done. NASCAR, I know, purposely wants to have this large gray area because they don't want their drivers being taken out. Look at Chase Elliott last year and the result. Well, the result this year I think would have been even worse with Larson, just because Larson's been the story this year. I mean, whether it's the double, whether it's how damn good he's been, he is the story. He's going to keep being the story the rest of the year.
I think if you want to put a cap on how many races you can miss and still be playoff eligible, that I'm fine with. But I think they should still keep it vague as to what is worthy of a waiver. Like, I honestly, as much as I think it's kind of silly, Chase Elliott was snowboarding 2 weeks into the NASCAR season, I would have still granted him a waiver for that. I think Kyle Larson, even though he chose not to show up in time for the 600, still deserves a waiver because big picture, what he did at Indy was really great. I do think that part of the rule does need to be vague, as frustrating as that is, because there are a ton of unforeseen circumstances that I think you just need to be ready for. So, yeah, I think if you want to be strict that if you miss more than 6 races from here on out, you're not eligible, that's fine. If you want to draw a line, that's fine. But for the different reasonings, I think it just needs to be vague.
And kind of going back to the playoffs really quick. And I figured we might as well combine this because we don't want to talk points twice. I mean, I left a poll up, by the way, asking the chat, will Kyle Busch make the playoffs? 58% say no to 42% saying yes.
Oof.
And I mean, he's 20 points out right now in 19th position when you have the full-on grid. He's behind Joey Logano. Chase Briscoe's been relatively solid. Buescher, Bubba Wallace always gets better into the summer. Blaney, Chastain, Bowman, Gibbs. Like, this is not a cut line, in my opinion, that is like, say, previous years. I don't know which one's an example where you look at these guys and you're like, oh, I'm going against an aging Jimmy Johnson and, Matt DiBenedetto, and are like a basically still rookie second-year William Byron that hasn't hit his stride. Like, these are
top teams and drivers, man. This is going to be juicy. Cindric winning has juiced the bubble battle quite a bit. The only two I think are safe from that last graphic you showed are Truex and Gibbs. Yeah. They're both plus 100. I think they're safe. Everyone else is, I would consider, on the bubble.
Yeah, because I don't see there being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new winners that are underneath the playoff cut line. I just don't see that happening. But I want to ask, for all 4 of us here, and I'm going to do this each week just to kind of gauge the pulse on all this.
Okay.
Driver in, driver out. And Trey, lead us off. Who's a driver who's in right now would be out, and out that'll be in?
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So looking at these standings here, I do think Kyle Busch will get in. I think it's just, tough start of the season. Even though we're kind of midway through now, I do think, it's Kyle Busch we're talking about. He's probably going to figure it out later in the year. Currently outside, I think he'll point his way in. Whether, I do also think he'll probably have to I don't really want to say he'll probably have to win because I think he can do it on points. But a win is in his best interest, certainly. And then I think out or inside getting knocked out of the playoffs is way tougher. Because just like you were saying, you have all these names 10th through 16th. It's like any of these drivers could win any given weekend. Gibbs and Truex, I agree with Eric. I think those two are safe. And I'm going to, like, if you're forcing me to pick someone, I'm going to probably say Bubba.
Shoot, I look at it. I think I agree with you on Bubba. It's a shame to say it, but technically, I don't think Bubba has ever qualified for the driver playoffs. No, he did last year, didn't he? No,
he
2 years ago.
he did last year.
Yeah.
Was he in the driver or was it just the 23? No,
Drive.
he was in the driver. The car was not in.
He was in the
last year.
driver.
That's what it was. The driver was in the playoffs. The car last year technically was not because Chase the 9 was in instead. So with that in mind, Jarrett's exactly right. 23 usually gets better later in the season. I don't know. I like where Buescher's headed. I think Blaney's, you got to give him the respect of a defending champion. I think I'll go Bubba as the first one out. And I think Logano has the best chance of sneaking in just because he is also a 2-time champion. And I think Ford is getting better. I think they've bought it. I think we've already seen the worst Ford will be this year. I think they're only going to get slightly better from here on out.
I go, Danny. You go. I want to save my for last in case we agree.
So Logano is my one to get in. And man, see, the thing is, I want to say Bubba, and it might still be Bubba, but we're in a situation here where if a couple more randoms like Austin Cindric get wins, then all of a sudden we say bye-bye to Bubba and Chris. They get down there below that line, and then it starts getting interesting. Yeah, right now you want to say Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain are sitting comfortable, both 59 and Blaney 47. But if all of a sudden 2 random winners get in, well, there goes Bubba and Chris below, and then Blaney sits on the cutoff line, and then all of a sudden Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain, they're pretty close to that line again. You just don't know. So if I only have to pick one, I'd say Bubba. Logano gets in, but I mean anything can happen if people below that cutoff line start getting wins. That's a fascinating thing.
So I'm gonna say I think Logano is probably the one that gets in. I think he's heating up. I think he's getting better, even if he's not great. You don't have to be great to make it on the 16 seed on points. But I'm gonna go out there on it because last year I didn't really think he was as good as many people I think will remember him being. And it's continuing this year. I think Blaney's the one that's out. I don't see it. That team has kind of lost that streakiness they had at the start of the year and at the end of last year. They seem like Logano has been the one lagging, but Logano has shown, I think, visible improvement. Maybe not great again, but good enough improvement to make it forward. Whereas Blaney has just been cratering. I mean, he's 14th now. I know he's 47 up, but that's still under the amount of points that somebody can make up in a race. Like, if worse comes to worse this weekend at Sonoma, Chase Briscoe, who's pretty darn good at road courses, finishes second, wins both the stages. I'm not saying that will happen, but say he even finishes third in both the stages and Blaney finishes last, Blaney's out just off that. And if Buescher runs well at a road course, which he's been pretty good at doing, especially at Sonoma. So I don't think that Blaney necessarily is the lock everyone's saying he is. Everyone's always fine. And like, we've seen people fall off before. And
he's not a lock by any means. I do think I would pick him to make it in, but because you look at, and I just pulled up some of his numbers, if he doesn't crash or get crashed or run out of gas, he's been really solid this year. Not race winning speed really, but like he's been solidly top 10, probably the most consistently top 10 Penske guy. But like Texas, he got wrecked by Priest and finished 33rd. Let's see. Darlington involved in a crash. Charlotte, didn't he smack the wall and finish last? And then Gateway 24th, he ran out of gas while leading. So I just think eventually they'll stop wrecking or having those kinds of just catastrophic failures, and the speed will continue to put them in the top 10. And I think he'll make it, but he's not a lock by any means.
What do you win?
I think Blaney will win a race because, I mean, look at it like this. He was a few drops of gas away from winning this weekend, and he was a few inches away from winning Atlanta. He's been in contention. He will get another chance.
I think the best chance for him moving forward will be probably obviously Daytona. I do think any track similar to this though, because Gateway has proven to be Penske's best track. So it's going to get interesting. I mean, one more bad race on his part, and he's right on that line. And that's without
he's washed. He's getting fired.
We're talking about Kyle Busch now?
No.
But I think that'll about cover it for all that. I swear. We were like making great time, and all of a sudden it's like we're getting right on into the ratings. At the top
I just glanced down at the time, like, geez, we gotta go.
Hey, don't worry about it. We'll do what Xfinity and Trucks did and just talk about both at the same time.
I like that idea.
Yeah, okay. Bottom half, we're talking about the truck race. You guys up there talk about the Xfinity race. Go.
Oh, hold on. We gotta get to the finishing parts of the Cup race here. So with the ratings, it went pretty good compared to last year. 2.459 million viewers, up 14% from a delayed 2023, but still a solid rating for a cable race on a generally new market. 427 in the key demo, so 17% of the audience. That's not as good, but it was the most watched sporting event of the day. I think they beat actually are they in the Stanley Cup Finals, or are they like still the playoffs with the NHL? I don't know. I don't.
It's got to be getting close because the NBA finals start tomorrow, I think.
Yeah,
they've had like a week off.
Yeah, I think NHL is in some type of playoff right now. I'm not sure what round, but yeah.
I just know that when I looked on the thing, that they beat that. It was close-ish, but it wasn't like that close. As for the poll here, we had 15,000 votes on the poll this week. And with that, 14% said the race was great, 58% good, 72% net positive, to 21% average, 4% below average, 3% bad, and 7% net negative overall. Guys, Jedi Master Isaac was the first commenter. Was it positive, negative, meme, or a mix of any of those? What do you guys think?
Meme.
All right. He says, I'm having a hard time deciding what is more incompetent and inept. Fox's ability to broadcast a race or Cody Ware's ability to drive a car. It's brutal.
Yeah, that's not a meme at all.
Looking at the comments here, Zach here says it was peak NASCAR on Fox, seeing Blaney do a crossover on Bell and immediately cut to random fans instead of showing the pass for the lead. Yeah. Noah Coleman and Ryan Blaney's scooting away. Uh-oh, he's slowing, isn't he? Yep.
Oh, that still hurts us.
It does. It does bad. Let's see. Nexu here says, this battle between Bell and Blaney reminds me a lot of Gordon and Johnson in 2011 Atlanta, an awesome dogfight. Let's see. Some random kid. This year's awesome. 7 out of 10 race. Nick here says, meanwhile, 11 just silently there in P2 again. Yeah, Denny Hamlin. Like, we didn't talk at all about him. He was one of the only people we didn't talk about before Austin Cindric.
He's got 5 straight top 5 finishes.
Damn. Austin Windrick. I'm seeing a lot of those in here. Hal Hope says a waste of a playoff spot. Let's see. Yikes. Sorry, I sound like Brad Childress right now. Oh, we're good. Okay, I'm just going to talk about this. Blue Jimmy here says, out of all the Penske cars, I did not think Cindric of all drivers would be the first to win this year. Another one here says, NASCAR and Fox has been a disgrace to broadcasting business since DW's departure, and that's an understatement. I think it was falling off a little before then. Bunch of people with the same comment here. No effing way. We had 357 comments, so just going through here. Penske fan here. Another Penske fan says, Ford wins, but at what cost? Penske's version of Austin Dillon backs into one. The annual waste of a playoff position has been filled.
You could argue that's Daniel Suarez, and I hate to throw him under the bus, but the 99 is trash. Did we talk about on the show how a couple of weeks ago Daniel Suarez basically apologized on social media? He put out like his own YouTuber apology for how bad they've been running,
starting with a sigh and everything.
Yeah, basically, it was. I mean, I hate to put him on blast, but it's just you can keep talking. I'm gonna look up his numbers.
I'm already at the gutter, and it's interesting.
Suarez has one top 20 in the last 6 races. It was an 18th. I mean,
Jeez.
I don't mean to laugh, but he's got 2 top 10s all year. Yikes.
All right, I'm at the gutter. Here we go. Toby Ayers says, just another joke of a NASCAR race.
Yikes, okay.
Henry says, best race of all season besides Talladega. Yes, Kansas had a great finish too. And the only comment to him is, I don't know about that, bro. And the last comment here, and I'm only reading the username, not commenting anymore on that, from Hail Palestine saying, I hate NASCAR. I can kind of guess why that one got voted.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's the poll, ladies and gentlemen. I kind of joked about it, but I think we can sort of just lump Xfinity and truck all into one talking point here. Seeing how they ran at the same time.
They did. That was odd. That was unfortunate. Corey Heim winning the truck race. I like, no disrespect, I feel like the truck race is more the afterthought here because Shane Van Gisbergen was that's his first Xfinity Series win. He's now locked into the Xfinity playoffs, which is kind of an upset because I think he was 15th or something on the grid before this win. So and that was a hell of a final restart against Justin Allgaier. That car was battered to bits when it crossed the finish line. But I don't know. I guess the question I just want to ask is, do you guys think Shane Van Gisbergen is in Cup next year, or do you think he's still in Xfinity?
He's still Xfinity.
I'm 50-50. It all depends on if Zane Smith can get his act together.
I think it don't matter on his act. I think they're sold on him for some reason. Like, he is just what they see as the future.
I think Zane is better than he's running in the 71, but he's been so bad in the 71 that I'll bet Trackhouse is rethinking some things. I could see a scenario where Suarez is out and it's SVG and Zane next year, assuming Trackhouse is buying a third charter, which has been rumored / reported, I believe. Because I do think Zane has more upside than he's shown. SVG's not Cup ready outside of road courses. He could win any road course race and make the playoffs that way. He's going to run 25th everywhere else. So, I mean, that's what Suarez does. Well, so it's like, would you take Suarez, but with the upside on road courses? I mean, I'd take him.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, even this week, I mean, he said so himself that he struggled mightily on the restarts this weekend. I mean, I can't remember a single restart where I was like, yeah, he won that. Like, I can think of some where he was like, he pulled even, or he like kind of triaged the situation and not be too bad. But I mean, there were a few of them where the pack just swallowed him up and he fell from like 3rd to 8th. And that needs to be cleaned up.
The first start, he cleaned out Sam Mayer.
I know. And then his post-race interview, I'm like, I think he finished pretty good, right? And it's like, well, no.
Shoot. Well, Mayer was back up in the top 5 at the end. Something happened to him that wasn't SVG's. But no, yeah, it was funny that it was still in his mind, 2 hours later. First thing he thought of was, what happened to Mayer? Did I kill him? Is he still alive?
After he punted a rugby ball up into the stands.
That was fun. Yeah. Celebration of the year for SVG, drifting all over the place. I saw some people comment that everyone was giving Ty Gibbs crap when he did the same thing, but Ty Gibbs wasn't like drifting around corners. He didn't make it look quite as cool as SVG did. I'll give him that.
And then fun fact, this is the first win for the 97 since 2005 in NASCAR.
Wow. I guess that would have been probably Kurt Busch.
Oh yeah. And then another one, of course, Allgaier and JRM managed to be right up there and grab defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what will be on Justin Allgaier's tombstone one day.
Here lies Justin Allgaier. He blew it.
He won a lot, but he lost an awful lot too.
He won a lot, but he lost a lot more.
Yeah, I guess you could put that in any driver's tombstone. I guess that's just the nature of the beast.
But Justin Allgaier has a special way of just I'm good. No, that hit the wall. Floor it. What do you think about Xfinity and trucks, Trey?
Okay, so these days, I was kind of leaving this part to you guys because these days I'm more of a cup exclusive enjoyer, I guess you could say. Had I known, SVG was going to run the way he did, I, probably would have caught some of the race, but yeah, I left that segment to you guys for the most part.
Well, I'll
The
ask this
shocking
to you
part was that
guys.
AJ Allmendinger wasn't really in contention all day.
Well, so he
No.
went to his backup car, I believe, was in Sonoma, so they had to repair it after he had damage beforehand.
Yeah, I guess there was something, yeah.
Because, yeah, trust me, I had brought the same point up after the race on my stream, and everyone's like, duh, you idiot, his car wasn't good. And it's like, okay, it's still AJ
Yeah, I
Allmendinger.
guess that's true.
Like, it's still AJ Allmendinger.
And I think, did he still finish top 5?
He finished 4th.
Yeah, he was still there towards the end, but just never, you didn't see anything from him this weekend that you were expecting to.
But I'll ask you guys final bit on this, because, like, trucks, it was pretty normal race, Heim time, and I will say good on Lane Riggs for a 5th and Luke Fenhaus for a 10th. But
That's cool.
do you guys think SVG will win most popular driver in Xfinity? Because it seems like it's pretty damn popular every time he wins.
Doesn't Allgaier win every year?
He's popular, but I feel like Justin Allgaier has that just appeal to him. Plus, he's like, I would say he's JRM's top guy, and being that close to Dale Jr. is always a plus to you.
Yeah, I don't. If they get out the vote overseas, SVG has a shot. The same way, like I don't know. I'm sure Shohei Ohtani gets the most MLB All-Star votes, or no, whatever player on the Toronto Blue Jays is eligible. The whole country will vote for him. Or like Yao Ming would be out for the season and would still get the most votes for the NBA All-Star game. I remember.
What about the Intimidegan? Is she going to win it from 36th?
That's true. She's won the last couple.
She has won the trucks.
Yeah, man, this is gonna be a heavyweight bout in Xfinity.
Nah, there's just no way.
Let me see.
I think it'll be. I'm gonna go with Allgaier because I think every year I'm always expecting like this year for the All-Star race. I thought Bowman's in it. I think was Bubba in the Open. Yeah, I'm like, oh, but there's some competition. Nope, it was Gregson again. And I was like, oh, okay.
I'll pull the chat while we go into the next segment here. So Allgaier, SVG, and Deegan. I'll just put most popular driver, Xfinity, if I can spell to save my damn life. There we go. Poll starting up. All right. Well, that does it for the Gateway Portland weekend. Real quick, anyone want to get a timer? I'm going to go on into the first Super Chat stage.
I gotcha.
Break. Awesome. I'm going to get started in 3 and a 2 and a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3. From Bailey here in the chat, first one for the 5. Do you think Austin Dillon wouldn't get as much hate if he didn't drive the 3? Like if he drove the 31, 33, or 27? 2 Crown Jewel wins is a nice resume. Yeah, I think that's a large part to it.
There'd be less hate if he wasn't in the most iconic number.
That's possible.
I mean, you got to remember when he jumped in. I mean, the firestorm from the fan base of the 3
they were tolerating him in the lower series, but when he got the Cup one, they were pissed.
Yeah, I think he just got hated from the jump. Now for Antar Das here for the 5, even as a diehard fan, I desperately want to see the downfall of the playoff system because the waiver debate increased my hatred more. Also, SVG back-to-back wins. 2 vastly different subject matter on that.
Yeah. The road course.
Spencer, thank you for the 35-month member chat saying goodbye, Fox, hello, NBC after this weekend. Yes. Oh, thank God. Like within.
Please get out of here.
I know it's going to be a different look NBC with no Dale Jr. and then eventually no Rick Allen, which maybe some people will cheer that, but still that's going to be weird.
We still got Dale to enjoy for this year.
No, I think Dale's gone.
He's gone this year.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? I thought he was still doing this year.
His contract.
Oh, dang! I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, so it's gonna be jarring.
We're gonna have.
I thought it was just setting up for next year. Jeez.
Who thinks gonna hit the higher octave? Steve Letard or Jeff Burton?
Jeff Burton.
I know. Dominion, thank you for the 2. It's so tough being a Busch fan. Down, down, down. I'm gonna say the same thing I said to Jimmy fans. Suck it up, Buttercup. I feel for you, but we've all on this been a little bit worse.
Jimmy didn't decline until his 40s. Kyle's been declining since 36. That is hard to stomach.
Yeah, but he still was winning races.
A race. Well, no, he won 3 times last year.
Last year.
We forget how good he was the first half of last season. It fell off a cliff, but he was good for the first 4 months.
I'm just these people that have like these perennial top 5 points finishers, and they're like, "Oh, woe is me." It's like, okay, like yeah, okay, that's nice. That go over there with the Patriot fans. NASCAR Fanatic 2425 for the 5. When it comes to waivers, NASCAR could probably avoid this if either the win and you're in rule or playoffs altogether didn't exist. Austin, thank you for the 5 as well. I never got worked up over the Larson waiver situation. NASCAR let it go on this long. They wanted talking points in a slow time in the season.
It was also so negative, though. I feel like every time it came up, everyone was like, NASCAR's so freaking stupid. What are they doing? Jim, we know the France family are sensitive. I doubt they want that negative publicity. I think they just were genuinely arguing in behind closed doors about what to do, and it took a while.
I guarantee it was the Steves going, Jim, we don't want to do this.
I bet it was Elton Sawyer being like, you're going to trot me out there in front of reporters. Please give me something good to talk about. God dang it.
Jim, there's only so much BS I can spew before even I can't take it.
Yeah.
Bailey with another one here saying the KB RCR honeymoon phase is over. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, we're over 3 minutes. You can do a couple more,
yeah,
though.
I'll do 2 more here.
That honeymoon's been over for a little bit. They're like in counseling right now.
No, they're about to go to divorce court. A Prada for the 5. If Johnny, they're staying together for the kids right now. If Johnny Sauter and Chase Elliott get waivers after getting a race suspension, then Larson waiver is a non-issue. Get rid of the win and you're in part of it.
I've been critical of winning you're in since Tony won in 2016, and I was like, bruh. Like, it was a cool story, but like, bruh.
Dominion here for the 2. Haley, top 10 again, where wrecks twice in 20 laps. It's not wrong. And the last one here from Palm Tree, and then we'll get to the rest after, saying, I'm sure it's been beaten to death at this point, but Blaney did not save at the pump. No one has really beat that one to death. Good callback.
Yeah, good reference.
He did not save at the pump.
No.
But that'll do it for this round of Super Chat stage breaks. I think there is another round to get at. There's been, I don't know about you, Danny, but at night I've noticed there's been a lot more thunderstorms and stuff, especially leading right on into
I know it's been picking up.
the lightning round, and Eric gets struck by lightning again. Delayed reaction. It's like watching a Godzilla movie. You know,
I'm not a good stunt man.
Let's get on into it really quick. Starting off with a shout out for the Spotify crowd. I gave them a poll because we talked about how like the main 3 charters already were either sold or going to be sold to certain teams. So I asked, where did you think that the 4th charter would go? And fittingly enough, I gave them 4 options to choose from. JTG got 6% of the vote because that one keeps getting brought up for some reason. That one doesn't make sense to me. Rick Ware Racing with 14% of the vote in 3rd. Legacy Motor Club, 20% of it in 2nd. And with 60%, the lion's share of the vote, the Spotify crowd says they think RCR will get that charter.
Okay. I thought they were going to say JRM or something. I'm like, come on, Jetla. Jeez.
Yeah, be smart here, guys.
See, like Dale Jr. was talking about it this week on his show, and the first thing I thought of was like, dude, stop talking about the possibility of JRM getting in. If you want them to shut up about it, stop bringing it up.
I listened to that clip, and honestly, it now almost feels like Dale Jr. is trying to explain, like he's almost trying to like apologize preemptively to his fans. Like, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not buying a charter. I'm just not. And here's why. Like, he's almost like, instead of trying to explain to, you know, his sister, his business partners about why they should, he's having to go out of his way to explain to his fans why he's not. And it's like, guys, just bear with me. It's not happening for this, and this. I hope you can understand. Like, he's almost pleading with his fans now.
He had to do that, and he had to go into great detail about the process of the 8. And I'm like, you shouldn't have to explain all this.
Just do the Keemstar strategy of say or do something dumb, which he's not saying doing something dumb, but just have something brought up, never bring it up again, and no one will remember it. Like, just do that. Because I'm getting sick of hearing Dale's gonna buy. It's like, when the hell has he ever said he was going to buy? He didn't buy it when it was like $2 million bucks.
And side note, there was a Facebook page that had a Photoshop Bob Pockrass tweet that was going off, getting viral because they Photoshopped it where it looked like Bob said, Dale Jr. is going cup racing. It's like, okay, just go to Bob's Twitter, folks. Don't fall for this Facebook crap.
I miss when the slurring tweets would go off.
Like this wasn't even a slur. This is legitimate. Just take Bob's Twitter handle and Photoshop it on whatever you want.
I hate to make fun of Facebook, but I've seen it is so easy
It
to
is so trash.
the number of garbage rumors I see people ask me about in my comments that I then trace back to some awfully photoshopped Facebook post. It's disturbing how easy it is to trick people over
I
there. And
know.
I'm so sorry.
There's only one solution to this problem. Bring MySpace back.
There it is. Literally, Facebook is good for unique groups and meme groups, and then Facebook Marketplace, because you just see some wild stuff on there.
Getting back to the lightning round here, Parker Retzlaff's going to be making his first Cup start at Daytona in the Beard car. That one threw me off. I guess. Yeah, that one threw me off.
I don't know enough about his backstory. This is going to sound so disrespectful. He's got to have rich parents or grandparents somewhere. Like I don't. He's clearly solid.
I don't know about that. I just know he has a lot of iRacing background.
So I'm just saying there's someone supporting him come hell or high water. I don't know who it is, but I mean, good for him. He seems to have some talent. I know he's done pretty well in Jordan Anderson equipment, but like there's no other reason he'd be already making a Cup start. Like that doesn't compute.
The DEI number 8 trademark has lapsed as of 2 days ago. So now Dale Jr. just needs to have it basically approved by a bunch of government departments, so we might not have an 8 car out there for years knowing that. Butterbean's going to be racing the Tricon number 1 at Nashville and Kansas later this year, so that'll be a lot of fun to see. This one really threw me off when I saw it. I didn't think it was true at first until I saw the different resources that have been put into it, but Tony Breidinger has actually been the most lucrative and most engaged with on social media female athlete in all of sports since the start of 2023. The other ones that she was above,
more than Caitlin Clark.
It says Angel Reese in second, Emma's in third. I'm not trying to pronounce that. Caitlin Clark fourth, and Sha'Carri Richardson. The only person I know in there is Tony Breidinger and Caitlin Clark. I don't know who the rest of these people are.
How is Caitlin Clark? Maybe it's because Caitlin Clark isn't necessarily engaging online like these others are, because she's just focused on the game, I guess.
Yeah, she's focused on the love of the sport. Yeah, no, I actually did dive into this. Breidinger obviously posts a lot more on Instagram. She does drive better engagement. But obviously, if you asked anyone on the street, do you know who Tony Breidinger is or Caitlin Clark? They're going to say Caitlin Clark. But I will say this, score this one for Raising Cane's. It's the power of the fried chicken. Tony Breidinger's face is in cities across America thanks to our beloved fast food.
I'm a very well-known enjoyer of chicken.
Yes.
And it has been very nice to go in there and having that instant recognition of I know this person. I know who you are.
Yeah, no, there's ARCA car is everywhere. Like I have one here in Dallas I go to regularly, more than I probably should admit. And yeah, they're plastered all over the place. And it's like, oh my gosh, I never see racing shit in my hometown anymore. Like, but there it is.
Nothing
so cool.
like the Victoria's Secret model selling a fried chicken.
Oh my gosh, America is the greatest country.
I love it.
Dude, that is true. I forgot she does have the Victoria's Secret deal too.
This is the American dream.
God, someone in the chat called her the fried chicken chick.
By the way, ending out the lightning round here real quick. Next week we'll be on Eric's channel on June 12th, 8 p.m. Eastern
Tune in
time.
for more fried chicken conversation as per usual.
I've actually had probably more fried chicken than I should admit having, so I'm gonna get back to the grilled chicken on that one.
I did have a grilled chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A tonight, so I betrayed my Cane's brethren tonight. I'm so sorry.
By the way, that's the lightning round. Strike Eric once more for his treachery. Let's get on into the little bits of the news this week, starting with sort of the headlines, reckless speculation, silly season, you name it. Starting off, Todd Gilliland has inked a multi-year extension with Front Row.
Good for him.
You know why I think they did a multi-year?
To stick it to Michael McDowell?
Either that or Michael McDowell left, and they're like, oh shit, we have to actually do something to not make this happen again. I mean,
maybe.
I'm happy for Todd doing this just because he's shown a similar trajectory, honestly, at Front Row that Michael McDowell did.
Yeah, he's been really good there. I think, the multi-year deal, that's great. I'm sure he's a lot cheaper than McDowell probably was. That's part of why it was easier to get this deal done. The question now is who do you get in those other, I guess, at least two cars? I think you need a veteran. There's not a lot of veterans available unless you go get Rodney Childers from Stewart Haas, but I don't know. You're gonna have to throw the bag at him. He might bring Josh Berry with them. That could be a dynamic duo that helps establish this team. But no, good for Todd. He's improved year over year. Like I was saying earlier, Cindric, this win at Gateway suggests he's improved year after year. Todd Gilliland, you look at the numbers right now, he's trending towards his best career average finish for a season, his best points finish. He's getting better. It just highlights other drivers who maybe haven't gotten better. I'm glad to see the drivers that are getting better getting rewarded with wins and with new contracts. So good for Todd.
Kind of getting into, I guess, the silly season stuff of it. Trey, I want to lead off with you. Where do you think some of these people are going? One of the rumors was like possibly because of the Bass Pro connection, Noah Gragson could be the 19 if Truex retires, but then there's the whole Gibbs dilemma in that, because I don't know about you. I know my grandpa wouldn't hire somebody to work with me if I didn't like them.
That is kind of interesting that you mentioned. I didn't put that together, that, because we have two, or wait. Oh, we do have two Bass Pro cars in the field currently, right? Isn't it?
We got three some weeks.
Sometimes three, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't even make that connection on Noah to the 19. It's a cool speculation. I think it's kind of a stretch. Like I would be rooting for it as a previous number 19 fan in Carl Edwards. I'd love to root for the number 19 again. Not to say I don't with Truex, but he's not my top favorite. But I mean, Noah to the 19, who says no? I would be all for it.
I'm more fascinated by the idea of him making the full circle back into the JGR Toyota system.
That's the thing. When he was last with Toyota, we were all calling him a bust. Like he wasn't winning regularly in KBM equipment. Then he goes to JRM. And I remember him saying that, like, oh, the vibe at JRM is a little more laid back. That's more my speed. And I'm like, okay. And then he went and did great things at JRM. And, it's been a journey since then, I suppose. But I just feel like with Gregson, the fit has to be right. And you mentioned Ty Gibbs being there. There's some drama and history there. Like, I don't really see Gregson fitting into the Joe Gibbs system, but I also don't see Gregson fitting in with Richard Childress Racing in a lot of respects. But
we did say that last year, though, about SHR too.
I did say that, and so far, yeah, SHR is kind of all over the place right now, but he has done well this year with SHR, so maybe fit isn't a big deal. But if you ask me, if I was trying to place the perfect free agent into the 19, if Truex retires, which I don't think he will, but you never really know. The dude seems so damn grumpy every other week these days.
I feel like we need to ask him at Nashville. That seems to be the place he usually tells us yes or no if he's going to stay or not.
Last year, I think he waited till Michigan last year because I was there. I was sitting in my seat. I see Truex come in. I'm like, oh, he's not going to say anything. And then I hear out of the corner of my ear, I hear him say, hey, I'm coming back. And I'm like, oh, time to pay attention.
So that's like race, 24? Nashville last year was like race 17, 18. So we're going to have to wait till the Roval this year at this point.
For
Talladega.
Not, but if he does retire, there was Bob Pocker. No, who is it? Yes, Pockris, I believe, linked Chase Briscoe potentially to that car. And that one makes the most sense to me. I think Briscoe, of all the Stewart Haas guys, is going to be the most sought after free agent, or he should be. I just think he's the most ready to win. I think Gregson, we just talked about, it takes 3 years to get good in Cup. He's in year 2. He's still got some time to grow. There's still some questions about his commitment, his maturity. I think you don't have any of those questions with Chase Briscoe, in my opinion. So I feel like Chase Briscoe would be at the top of my list, but I think him staying with Ford makes the most sense. So if we take him off the list, did y'all see that Pockris also mentioned Eric Jones could come back to Gibbs?
That's a weird one.
Why? What's the point? Why do that? Why?
I wouldn't want to go back because I feel like that would be just a huge slap in the face to me at that point.
Well,
that'd be like getting Daniel Suarez back at that point.
Well, and I feel like if I feel like this with any of these guys, unless they completely ball out, like you're just the placeholder. Like when Corey Haim is ready to go, or Chandler Smith sets the world on fire.
Well, I'm surprised no one's talking about Chandler Smith because there have been rumors out there that Haim will go to 2311 if they get a third charter. So let's take him off the board for now. I'm like, Chandler Smith is what, like second or third in Xfinity points. I think he's got a couple wins this year.
He's
Like
been really damn good.
he's got a few cup races under his belt. Like Chandler Smith, why is he not getting more consideration? Like I'm almost a little, so I love Heim. Y'all know me. I'm all about Heim time, but I'm a little
It's time
surprised.
for Eric.
It's a Heim o'clock somewhere. I mean, I just feel like every week we talk about Heim like passing up Chandler in the pecking order. And I'm just a little surprised, like, when did that happen? Because I think Chandler is really good. I don't mean to ever discredit or dismiss him. I think he is good. He's got Cup in his future. Why not next year if Truex retires? I'm just a little surprised his name doesn't seem to be getting mentioned as much. Maybe it's as simple as, hey, Gregson comes in, Johnny Morris will stay on board, and that's $15 million. We can't say no to that. I don't know, but
and then the Barry Childers stuff, like, do they stay together? Because I know everyone will say they want to, and I know that they like working with each other.
I think it sounds like they want to. I don't know if you saw, there's some clips. Barry made the comment yesterday during a media session that, hey, like our dream scenario, everyone here on the 4 car wants to stick together. Like if that means we go to front row, he didn't say this part, but it's like, if that means we go to front row, or what else could be available? The Wood brothers could be an available seat. Gibbs, no, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they want to stick together. I think Rodney Childers was this close to retirement. I think Josh Berry postponed his retirement. Like he seems very invested in this guy. So I don't know. I think there's a strong chance they stick together. No guarantee, but I think it's a strong likelihood.
I feel like they have that chemistry building up. Like I don't think they're going to win a race this year. I still don't think they're going to top Darlington, but I could see more lower end top 5s, top 10 runs regularly being up there.
Yeah, he's going to finish top 20. He's 19th, I think, or maybe 20th in points right now. I think he's going to finish top 20 in points for sure.
I'm going to say this. I think Rodney Childers would look really good in Love's colors. I think
that's the thing. If front row still has, if front row's still got some loyal sponsorship, they could put anyone they want in that car. Go get Childers and Barry, man. Get that duo. Pay them what they need. Keep them in Ford. If I'm Ford, I don't want to lose those two to Chevy or Toyota. I want to keep them here. Well, like, I don't know.
Another good fit with Love's too. I mean, you basically get, I won't say the same, but you get a very similar driver too. You get a guy who really worked his way, clawed his way up, maybe in different ways, but clawed his way up. A guy who's a big family man, so you can sell him on a road trip going to Love's, like stuff like that. He's not going to put his foot in his mouth, make an ass out of himself. He's going to be a good representative of your brand. And again, I like Michael McDowell a lot, just because of his story and the meme and all that. But at the same time, Josh Berry has the ceiling that's higher than Michael McDowell's. And you could probably get that Love's car from being, 11th to 20th car to maybe 7th to 15th right off the bat.
That'd be cool. I think what's working for Barry in his favor, I don't think he has a ton of funding, but he has Rodney Childers in his court. He's a Kevin Harvick client, and Dale Jr. loves him. Shit, like those are 3. Like that's some powerful people to have in your like backing you. Like if you need 3 references and you put those 3 down on your resume, you're getting the job. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
so there's that free agency, and then we kind of talked about it earlier, so we can kind of go over the Zane Smith on the hot seat. We can kind of go past that because we already covered it earlier. But Dale Jr. brought something up, and I wondered about it, but didn't know because they had said the 3 charter limit. But he had brought up that front row would have 4 charters, and they'd get grandfathered in as that Ford team to have 4 charters. Where do we see that?
I haven't heard that. I didn't hear that clip. I didn't listen to the full podcast, but that makes some sense. If they're going to allow a Toyota and Chevy team to be grandfathered in, I think it's only fair a Ford team is allowed to have 4. Front row would be an interesting choice. But okay, well, this does track with a rumor I heard about a month ago that front row and Trackhouse were going to buy all of Stuart Haas's charters. Now, since then, there's been a report that 2311's getting one. Okay, yeah. I'll buy that. That's probably true. But I heard a while back that front row was going to buy 2, and maybe things changed. I don't think the ink had dried on that deal, but that's where they were trying to go. I don't know if that's where it ends up, but Junior saying this means that rumor is still very much alive, which I'm like, okay, all right. But I don't know. Right now, we only know they bought 1. Work with that information. But if they do buy 2, then I think Josh Berry and Rodney Childers absolutely should find a home there. I could see like Custer, Herbst for the money. No disrespect. That's why he'd be there for the money.
Yeah.
And then Childers, Barry. Well, Barry. Let's just say Barry. I keep throwing out each other. Barry.
Barry
Barry can work on his own, but Childers helps. With Gilliland, that's a team. That's a team right there. Really young team, but it's a team. So I don't know.
And
I get really amped up about this stuff. I know I'm like really.
fun.
I'm just kind of. It is fun. I'm sorry if I'm like taking over the conversation here.
But it's so different from every other major sport in America. Like think about the NFL. Like the NFL is perfectly rigid with like you have like start your year with the OTAs and all these mini
your 52-man roster.
Yeah, and then you get the preseason, the regular season, playoffs, Super Bowl. Then you get your free agency and your draft. And like where NASCAR, it's like all year's free agency. Hell, if we want to just be like really nifty about it, we'll be Casey Kane and sign a team 2 years early for the hell of it. Why not?
Tyler Reddick got scooped up a year early. There's like Todd Gilliland just signed a multi-year extension. He could be gone after this year. Like he could. Like that's the way this works. Like he's not. He's almost certainly not. But there's like a 2% chance that something screwy does happen. Whereas you're right, in the NFL, a lot of these other stick and ball sports, there are such rigid schedules for this kind of thing. In NASCAR, there's a reason we call it silly over here. Like that's not just some elementary goofy slang. Like it is silly because there is no structure. It's a free for all every year.
Real quick before we get to the final bit, and this part we had found out like right sort of during the show after.
Yeah, speaking of silly, I meant to bring this up earlier, but the chat brought it up earlier, I saw.
Yeah, before that, real quick, we are pushing that limit of 600 watching, and we got like goal of 500 tonight. Come on, time is running out. It's not high McClock.
It's a shame. I guess we're not going to get to do random driver of the week this week. We would have loved to see if RawGator could get it, but I guess we're not going to be able to, guys.
I really want to guess. I really want to guess the random driver, please.
Got to lick that like button. Got to do it. So
got to get a little over 100 more likes. We'll remind them again in a minute. But no, the news we were about to get to. What was it, Jarrett?
Well, I was gonna have you bring it up because you were the one who saw it and showed me at first, and I was like,
I guess that's true.
You asked me who it was, and I'm like, why are you asking me who this guy is? Like, don't you know?
Well, so yeah, the news was, I think it was Bozy shared a clip from some show on Twitter about an hour or two ago of Dana White, who I believe is he the head of the UFC
Yes.
or? So I get him mixed up sometimes with Vince McMahon.
That's easy to do because now they're part of TKO, which is an organization that owns both UFC and WWE together.
Oh, okay. At least I can be excused then. Well, anyway, Dana White was on some podcast somewhere saying that in July he is going to. I think he phrases, "I'm going to go travel to NASCAR and talk to them and work with them on developing an electric series." Like he said, we're going to do an electric racing series with NASCAR. And obviously NASCAR is not, as far as I see, have not acknowledged this. Could be nothing. I mean, I don't know much about Dana White, but what I do understand is I think he's got kind of a history of just sort of being a loose cannon, running his mouth, kind of says things. So I don't know how legitimate of a source he is, even in this case.
When I heard that, I thought that he is over exaggerating what's happening here. I could see a meeting with NASCAR to get feedback and some advice on starting a motorsport series, but maybe the way it was worded might have been incorrect. Maybe he's trying to say they're going to be the NASCAR of electric car racing, not working with NASCAR.
It sounded like he said he was meeting with NASCAR.
He definitely, that's how it sounded, but Danny, you're right. He could be just
I could see a meeting with NASCAR to discuss, advice on this. I don't know that I can solely see a TKO NASCAR direct partnership.
I don't know enough about him to have a strong. I'm like tonight. I'm gonna Google some stuff, do some research in case this has any legs, and we have to talk about it more. I try to be informed, but I don't know anything about this.
I just think that NASCAR, especially in the post Brian France era, has made it abundantly clear that they want to broaden their horizons to get as many different people and entities invested and interested that never would have been otherwise in NASCAR before then. So I'm not going to just bite it hook, line, and sinker. I think I'd actually said on Sunday, and I got a bunch of crap from people for being like, I don't watch UFC. Like, I don't disrespect it, but I just don't watch it. But I know who he is. And you know what? I can't tell you the name of the guy running the NBA. Like the only commissioner I could tell you the name of is Roger Goodell. That's it. And that's it is a cultural norm to know random stuff and everything about football. I couldn't tell you who runs any other sport outside of motorsport. Like that's it.
But you know Dana White.
Him,
like that's
except
he
Dana White.
He is a name. I don't know enough to know if he's full of it or if I should take what he says as legit and as the truth. I don't know enough because I don't know anything about him. I don't watch UFC or WWE or any of the properties I guess he's affiliated with now. So it's hard for me to have a take on this. It's just interesting. It's just like,
putting his name or even associating in any way is going to bring attention in some way to it, because like why is Dana White talking about this? Why is he looking at it? Well, now I need to look at it. And it might not be like the most popular, like UFC is not anywhere near the big four sports, or even I'd say I don't believe average viewer wise, if you look and extrapolate it over the whole year, I don't think it's either too far over or under NASCAR. I think it's like right and around the same area.
Is it ahead of boxing? Isn't boxing one of the like
UFC? I mean, for the little I have watched, UFC is way better than just normal boxing.
Well, I know boxing historically was more popular in America. I don't know. I have no idea what the combat sports landscape looks like.
Irvin Alvarado brings up a great point. UFC has more money in it. There's more money. There's more investors who are culturally relevant too, and that's what NASCAR wants. Obviously this, moving on from this, an electric series makes sense. NASCAR has an electric car. They're going to show it off in February. The weather got in the way, so that they're interested in starting an electric series separate from the Truck Xfinity and Cup Series. That part's not surprising, and I think is good. What is surprising about this potential is the France family, who historically rules with an iron fist. They have total control. They've got big egos. Would they be willing to collaborate closely with Dana White, who, like we just addressed, everyone knows who Dana White is? You talk about a big, larger-than-life personality who shakes up anything he touches. That's Dana White. He's got some powerful friends, though, that could very easily push NASCAR out of that market.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. I'd be a little surprised for NASCAR to, they feel funny about working with Formula One or IndyCar on, sharing race weekends or tracks or dates. It's like, would they really want to work with someone who's bigger than them, I guess is the way I would maybe put it. I don't know. Maybe I'm overstating it. I just know they have fragile egos, and I could see that going south.
I think it just, if this stuff ends up being true, I think it's more NASCAR having to come to the table with their tail between their legs and be like, we can't lose this part of the market. Like, I think that's what it might actually be more than anything.
Could be. They're like, we need to be in electric racing. That's what every manufacturer is talking about. Hybrids, electric, whatever. We need to do something in this space. Dana White, you know how to run sports leagues. Can you help us get this off the ground?
The thing is,
NASCAR isn't like, I still don't see why they need Dana White, but maybe I'm crazy.
The thing is, like, to do this, like, who's going to be your stars of the series? Like, what drivers are going to be available to come?
Dana White's going to be your star. That's who it's going to be. He's going to be your star. I mean, come on, the dude. I would argue, from an outsider point of view, he's the face of the UFC. Like, and I don't know. I can't name a single UFC fighter. Like, and people are pointing out, like, UFC, based on numbers, actually is more popular than NASCAR. So, I'm just saying, like, having him involved it will definitely draw a big rift in a lot of people in the fan base, especially on the electric side of the fan base.
I could just also see this going like the XFL, not even the current XFL, like the old XFL that had a huge base at the peak time of WWE with Vince McMahon behind it, and that was a flop. I could see it going like that too, because Vince McMahon was your star at the original XFL. They tried to put wrestling things into it. And now that there's TKO having both, I could see it going like that as well.
I will, off topic, you guys probably saw this too. Irvin Alvarado with the poll of the night doing some, I don't know if I could call this investigative journalism, but he just pulled up a tweet from Adam Stern from the end of last year. This is November of 2023 from Adam Stern saying that Dana White is going to be in Phoenix and has a meeting planned with NASCAR, though the exact reasoning is unclear. So that confirms that he has collaborated with NASCAR. Now, does anything actually get off the ground? Will be interesting to see what happens, but I don't have much else to say. I don't think there's much else to say at this point because it's all so unknown and vague.
But I'll say that great pull on his part. That was
good job.
I didn't
on
even
that.
remember that, and I think we even mentioned it at the time. Like
we probably had it in the lightning round.
All right. So by the way, finishing out this segment, we're now 48 likes away from the like goal, and we are still like right at 600 of you guys watching.
Yeah, it's a shame. I know you guys want us to do it, but if you're not going to help, I mean.
But we do have one other big segment before the picks and anything else to go over, and that is our prediction segment. So real quick, I'm going to pull this up so that we have it all ready to go. When it comes to the prediction segment, to if it'll pop up. There we go. Graphics are so difficult. They're easy. They're so easy, they're difficult. For this, each host and guest will make up to 3 NASCAR or motorsports or show-related predictions. We're going to keep track each week of the right and wrong predictions us hosts make because we are the 3 people in NASCAR dumb enough to be accountable for how stupid we can predict stuff. We would like to keep predictions concise within 2 to 3 years of said prediction just to make sure that we're not like tracking stuff into the 2040s before 2030s. And as for our accountability here, I had a good week. I said a driver that was not in the Gateway Truck Race last year would finish in the top 5 in 2024. Corey Heim won, and he was not in that race last year.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. That was a layup.
It was a layup. But at the same time, like if something happened to Heim, like the next option probably was not that good.
Yeah.
Eric, you said Colleague would finish 1-2 in Portland.
So damn close. Oh, that was a bold take too, and they'd almost got it. They were 1-4, right?
Yep.
Oh, dang it.
And Danny, you had 1 of 3 come off the board correct this week, saying, first off, Ford will win 2 or more races before NASCAR, the NASCAR playoffs. And this was a pretty good pull. NASCAR would not give Larson a playoff waiver, was not. And you said Alex Bowman would score 3 consecutive top 10s at Gateway, Sonoma, and Iowa.
The streak died.
Hey, I'm 1 of 3. I'll take it.
And with this, the standings as we go, I have 34.62% correct, Eric at 30.56, and Danny at 26.47. So we're pretty evenly dispersed as we go. I can lead us off if you want, Trey.
Go for it.
And we'll just roll in that order. Me, Eric, Danny, and you, and say the best for last. So I'm going to start us off with this one. I think that Clint Boyer will finish 7th or better in his race in trucks in Nashville.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have some fun Clint Boyer takes that week. My first prediction, though, is that we've been hard on this guy tonight and this week and the last few weeks, but I'll give Kyle Busch some credit here. I think he finishes top 5 at Sonoma this weekend. It would be his first top 5 in 6 weeks.
Danny?
My first one, I saw this show car not long ago, and it makes me want to throw up, but I believe it'll be more than just a show car, and I'm going to say the University of Alabama will sponsor a car in NASCAR this season.
The Boston Red Sox are sponsoring a car in a few weeks. So,
Trey,
more sports.
Can I go a little bit wacky on my prediction this week?
We encourage that.
Just something like out of the blue, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say in the last lap of this Sonoma race upcoming this weekend, Cup race, there's going to be a last lap pass for the win. Think about 2016, Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin. I think we're going to get one of those finishes, whether it's set up by a, 2-lap dash or whatever it may be. But that's, I'm going to go with that.
I like it. All right. Good drama.
All right, I'll start off round 2 here. I'm going to make this prediction because it's seeming more and more likely that this will be an add-on to another prediction I made. While he will not be the lead announcer for the entire series, I do believe Mike Joy will be the one to call the 2025 Indianapolis 500. It's looking more likely that Fox will be the one that's going to get the IndyCar rights. It sounds like the one of the rumors I saw and heard is that a couple more races might get pushed to Fox Sports 2 next year, which which is not
Beautiful.
good. But the other rumor is that Adam Alexander would be lead announcer of the series, leaving NASCAR. But I think that Mike Joy, I think that they got to give Mike Joy at least one shot at the Indy 500.
Yeah.
That's a good prediction because the Coke 600 that day will be on Prime.
Yep.
So that's a good prediction. My second prediction still focused on Sonoma. I know a lot was made last year of the supercar takeover. We have two drivers. We have Cam Waters and Will Brown racing this weekend. I don't think they'll be that impressive. See, this isn't Chicago. This is Sonoma. These Cup guys have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of laps at Sonoma. I don't think either of those drivers finish top 15 on Sunday.
My number 2 prediction, Austin Cindric will get 3 more top 5s before the start of the playoffs, starting now.
That's bold.
My second prediction here is you guys know a little bit earlier I was pretty high on Kyle Busch. I'm gonna say he'll get a win this year. It's not gonna stop at 19 years. It's gonna have to hit 20. There's just no way in my mind that Kyle Busch doesn't win this year. I think it happens. I don't know where. Hate to say like a super speedway would be his best shot, but because he hasn't necessarily been super good there, but he'll get it at some point.
The celebration will be wild. Like he might actually get a full-on cheer whenever he wins next, because this has to be the longest winless streak of his career. It's a full year now.
One of them, yeah.
I was trying to think about 2020 because he didn't win until the end of that season, and I don't know when he won in 20. No, because he won the finale in 2019.
Yeah, we were like we were there.
Yeah. No, I was trying to remember what year was before that. So yeah, never mind. This probably is the longest winless streak. If I had to guess.
So that one, it almost got broken in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think we're chilling for halfway in the season for now. I think we're chilling.
I remember that Wednesday show. They did the race, and the race ended at like 7 on the dot Central, and 7 Central or so. We waited 10 minutes and went live, and we still had a Jimmy Johnson interview on top of a post-race show. That was a wild night. As for this weekend, my prediction for this weekend is that the Cup and Xfinity races both will finish at their scheduled distances. I don't think either will go into overtime, which probably will get broken with Xfinity right off the bat.
Okay. All right. This one might be a layup. We'll see. I did see a graphic today that Fox says they're up 1% year over year in their NASCAR Cup Series TV ratings. I think they will finish the year up when Sonoma is all said and done. So basically I'm saying Sonoma will be up in ratings year over year. That's basically what I'm saying.
Alex Bowman will get a top 5 at Nashville Superspeedway, finally living up to having the race's title sponsor.
So just making sure I can run a prediction a few years in advance here, because
Go for it.
Yeah, because a couple of the predictions you guys were throwing out were from next few weeks and such. So just got to make sure.
Yeah, go for it.
But I'm gonna go ahead here and say 2311 Racing is gonna win a championship in the next 3 years. I like the way that Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan have gotten this team off the ground relatively quickly, getting win after win, in their first seasons. Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, it's a good roster. It's just, I wonder if at some point they're gonna, maybe buy a charter or add to their roster. Maybe Denny Hamlin could step up and try to win a championship himself for his own team. I could definitely see 2311 Racing winning a championship here in the next 3 years or so.
I like it. It's a good one to end on. I love optimistic predictions to wrap up this segment. End on a high note.
And I think the chat's also wanting us to end on a high note here. We got there. We got to 500. Did it go back down? No, it's at 504 on my end.
Yeah, we're well over 500 now. Thank you, guys.
Over 600 watching. Let's do it, guys. Our random driver of the week segment.
Beautiful.
So for this one, Trey, you'll have to hide the chat if it's within view, because they'll give it away pretty damn quick.
Got it.
I will fully admit that this is one that off screen I have the most fun doing, because I always like looking for all the different facts to try to get everybody.
Just to give you some background on this, Trey, Jarrett comes up with like 30 clues, and we each get 3 guesses each. So unless you know it, I'll write 33 clues.
23.
So unless you really know who it is off the bat, feel free to wait a few clues because we only get three guesses each.
23 clues is a clue. It's Bubba. I know it.
Is that a
Okay,
guess?
we'll see how this goes.
No.
All
All right,
this
yeah.
should be fun.
Each of you gets 3 guesses. Once you hit 3, you're out. You can look at the chat.
Chat is off.
All right. The last couple weeks, by the way, we have done Neil Bonnet, Marty Robbins, Cale Gale, Chad Chaffin, and Carson Hocevar. Danny has had 3 of those with Bonnet, Gale, and Hocevar.
He's on a hot streak. We got to cool him off.
I don't know how I got Bonnet last week.
I'm so mad that I did not get Bonnet. I thought it.
David Land got Marty Robbins. I stumped everyone with Chad Chaffin. Eric, it's been 6 weeks since you got to win. You gotta get together.
I was hot to start the year. We got to figure it out. I'm getting it tonight. I'm calling my shot. We're getting it tonight. We're getting it before 12. We're gonna get it early.
Okay.
Yeah.
This random driver never led a lap in NASCAR.
We're not getting it, boys.
Oh boy. Here we go.
This random driver retired from NASCAR in 2019.
Okay, so they recently retired and they were trash. Got it.
This random driver hails from Lebanon, Pennsylvania.
Can I make a guess?
Yes, you can.
No, I'm not. I'm not. That's stupid. I blew all my guesses last week. Go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
Don't play with me, Step.
Now I'm curious who it was.
This random driver owns a truck dealership and repair shop named after themselves.
Wait, sorry. They do or what'd you say their dad does?
They do.
They do. Okay.
Yep.
A truck dealership, like a semi-truck dealership?
More like pickups. Pickups, work kind of working trucks, like that a lot of landscapers will have. Like ones like that.
John Deere.
This random driver ran nearly the entirety of their career in a self-owned, low-budget team.
Can you remind me what the first clue was? It was never led a lap, right?
In NASCAR, yes.
Gosh, okay.
This random driver once owned an ARCA team, but it has not raced since 2022.
You said they retired from NASCAR after 2019.
Yes.
Okay.
Got an idea?
No.
I had an idea, but I'm glad I didn't blow my guess.
Yeah, that's not who I'm thinking of because I think he left a long time ago.
This random driver's final truck start was in 2019 with a career high of 11th place at Daytona. It was a DNF.
What a disastrous race.
A DNF and they got 11th?
What?
I don't remember that one being that
Yeah,
bad.
Was this the February or the summer race?
It's not a summer race.
They only do
summer race.
I guess it's trucks.
In 2005, this random driver actually qualified Carl Edwards' number 99 Ford at Pocono.
Oh man, now you're making me feel like I should know.
Yeah, why? Wait,
What?
now you're making us look stupid, Jarrett. What kind of clue is that?
This random driver is most known for driving the number 5 car.
The number 5 car or truck, you should say.
I just
You
said
said
most
car?
known for driving the number 5 car.
You said car. I'm going to take it as car, not truck.
The wheels are. Hey, we're almost halfway through. You got some guesses. Chat's flying.
Have they gotten it?
Who has drove the 5 car that wasn't trash?
Has the chat? I'm sure someone's gotten it, but has the chat like all figured out like it's definitely this person?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was hoping they'd still be split.
This random driver never raced in the Daytona 500.
Neither did I.
No, we all had the same amount of Daytona 500 starts.
Who would have
And
been?
lap sled.
That would have been a perfect place for Jared to say, is that a guess?
Is that is it? This
okay,
random
keep going.
driver DNQ'd from 5 Daytona 500s.
So they sure tried.
Not for lack of effort. Oh man, I have no clue.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this next clue. This random driver has never been tweeted about by Trey, Eric, or myself, but Danny B has tweeted about this driver twice.
Oh,
Okay.
That's a good fact. I like that.
Beats me.
No guesses at all, man.
Dude,
No.
the Carl Edwards thing really threw me for a loop. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You had us in the first half. Not gonna lie. I have a guess.
Hey, go for it.
I'll just throw it out. Ted Musgrave.
Sure.
I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah.
And you're throwing a wrong answer out there.
Okay. Why would you keep me in suspense like that, Jared? What was that?
I mean, he
For
did
my
drive the
entertainment.
he did drive the 5, but he also won in the 5. So
Oh yeah, that's some.
So he led a lap.
Yeah, he did. I forgot that first clue, dude. I forgot about that. I can't stop thinking of actual people who had some results.
This random driver was forced into retirement by a heart attack.
oh my gosh.
I just love one of the people in the chat says Jared is cold-blooded. No, I'm Iceberg.
Who could this have been?
Who could it be? No guesses? Come on, we
I'm
got
gonna know.
10 clues to go. By the way, it was 2019, by the way, in the chat. Not way earlier, like some are saying. Trust me, I went to the reaches of the internet all over the place to find some of these. This random driver is currently 65 years old. So, like, kind of do some math on, like, what years would have been what age. Oh, okay, they're talking about somebody else. I'm like, I swear to God, that was right. Nothing?
No,
You picked the most random of random drivers
this
this
is a
week.
random one.
It's all right. There'll be more clues. I think will give a better one away on it. While never leading a lap in NASCAR, this random driver led 841 laps in ARCA.
And you said he owned an ARCA team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know some
Oh,
passionate ARCA fans who
I
absolutely know who this is.
Bobby Gerhart.
that your answer?
Oh,
That's
that's
my
gotta be
guess.
it.
You're correct, Danny.
Danny's red
Yeah.
hot. Damn it.
Yeah. That gave it away. That gave it away.
Yeah, that's a good
Literally,
one.
my last clue is going to be 8 of his 9 ARCA wins are at Daytona.
Yeah, I didn't realize his career ended by a heart attack though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't-
right before
that
2020.
Yeah, that flew over my head. I did not know that.
Yeah, because I was almost thinking about, but I didn't want to give it
Like-
away too
like-
early.
Like all I could think of for the longest time was Lucas. Lucas, who is this man? Bobby Gerhart.
So that I was gonna be a jerk about this, but I figured to give it away too early. I didn't want to like have the suspense go down right away. I was gonna go this random driver has never led a lap in NASCAR, and then follow that directly up with this random driver to find an era of super speedway racing.
That would be funny.
Yeah, the five car. You know, you think of like the Hendrick 5, or the Ted Musgrave 5, but yeah, his 5 car in ARCA was legendary for a
It
long
was.
time.
All right, guys. We're going to get into our final segment here, and that is our Sonoma preview. Really quick, got a couple of notes going into the weekend here. It is a freshly resurfaced Sonoma Raceway. Trust me, Denny Hamlin made sure I knew. And everyone at that. AJ Allmendinger will be in the 16 Cup car. Cam Waters in the 60. Eric, who else was in the Cup race?
Will Brown is in the 33, I think.
I believe so.
Allmendinger's in the 16. Did you say that?
Yes.
Yes.
Boris said all the said heads come out in force because he'll be in the 17 Hendrick Xfinity car. Maybe this year he can make something happen with it. Ty Gibbs will be in the 19 Gibbs, obviously, Xfinity Series car. And then John Hunter Nemechek will be in the 20 Xfinity car. So some heavy hitters this year in the Xfinity race. As for the races themselves, the Xfinity race is a zip buy now, pay later 250. 79 laps, 20, 25, 34 are the stages. 8 p.m. Eastern Time start time. FS1, Fox Sports app have you covered visually. Audio-wise, you got PRN and Sirius XM. Weather for this weekend, 80 degrees, partly cloudy, 6% chance of rain, with Eric Almirola being your defending winner. So somebody new will win.
And he's not in the race.
Exactly. The Toyota Save Mart 350. It's 110 laps, 25, 30, 55 are the stages. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time start time. So it'll be, I believe, 12:30 over there. You got Fox, Big Fox to end out the year. Thank God. And the Fox Sports app, as well as PRN and Sirius XM. 87, partly cloudy, 3% chance of rain. And MTJ, Martin Truex Jr., will be the defending winner. You could possibly have a back-to-back winner this year.
The 8 p.m. start for the Xfinity race is crazy. And then you remember it's on the West Coast, I guess, but still, that's wild.
So it'll be sunny while everybody else is in the dark.
Yeah, that'll be weird.
They'll still have like 3 hours or plus of daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Peter said that what if my prediction is wrong because the Xfinity race ends early because of darkness. It's like,
wait, I'm off topic. We're gonna have to get even more secure on our during our random driver of the week. Somebody, and I just accidentally cleared it, went away. Somebody DM'd me during that segment the answer to the random driver of the week.
What?
I just saw it.
Cheating, not on your
cheating
there.
Is crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna have from now on have to like phones down.
Okay. Yeah, I'm literally looking at Jarrett the whole time. The phone's right there, but I'm looking straight.
He's trying to get a tell off me.
That's funny. I didn't even look at. I literally just saw it, but now I'm like, we're gonna have to be on high alert to make sure nobody gives us the answer.
That's insane. Honesty policy. If that happens, be like, someone gave me the answer. I'm sorry.
Then you'd be DQ'd.
I forgot to mention also the Cup race. Thanks, Isaac, saying Murr from Impractical Jokers will be the Grand Marshal. I guarantee that
encumbered.
They've advertised that pretty well, honestly.
It's gonna be a punishment.
I love that show.
It is funny as hell. You ever seen the one where the punishment for Murr is he has to teach children about being a crematorium for their pets?
Wait, what's the guy's role going to be for this weekend's race?
I think Grand Marshal.
Oh my God! Please don't say something stupid.
It's got to be, because that's just a random like collab. I feel like it's got to be like a part of the show or something.
Now pull your pants down and pour wine down your underwear.
Hey, say drivers and Danica.
Say gentlemen. That part of Twitter will get mad at that part.
Say, just scream into the microphone.
Say anything whatsoever. Facebook will get mad about it. Anyway, back to this weekend and the preview itself. Pick points wise, guys, it's getting closer. Chat still got the lead, but I'm back single digits, 9 back. Danny only 17 back. Eric 20 back. We are closing on.
This is the closest it's been ever.
I had a big week. Well, a modestly big week. I was like almost 40 back last week.
Which the new point system is a big part of this. That's why we're so close. But
so yeah, it's gonna be interesting with the road course strategy and possible cautions hopefully in this race other than stage cautions. It's gonna be interesting to see where it goes. So let's get to the picks themselves. Trey, lead us off. Who is your pick to win the Xfinity race?
Okay, well, I had to pull up the entry list. Couldn't think of what it was called. Entry list for this. Thank you, Bob Pockrass. So I was looking. It didn't take long for scrolling to find out Boris Head was making his entry for the Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick Motorsports, HendrickCars.com, number 17. Got Greg Ives on top of the box, but I looked one row above and I saw AJ Allmendinger. So that's my pick to win this week at Sonoma.
Fair enough. I guess I go next. I will go a row. You went a row above. Boris said I'll go, I think, 2 rows below to the 19 of Ty Gibbs.
Dang it, that was my number 1. Guess I got to take number 3. Give me SVG back to back.
Not impossible.
I was like hoping, I'm like, come on, just one person take a chance on Boris Said, and I can have those three.
I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole. I'm sorry. I love Boris and all, but his time is done.
Careful, chat's giving it some consideration, but I think they've changed their pick. Jared, you go next, or is the chat?
I'll run a poll for the chat because they're not doing either of those two are not the same as me.
It looks like they're going Cole Custer.
Yeah,
you don't need a poll.
Yeah,
I just want to see the lopsidedness at this point. So we'll start the poll here. I'm gonna go Allgaier, just because.
All right.
Well, he might give up wins at road courses. He's pretty damn good at them too. Jesus.
Yeah, I think they're going Cole Custer, which they're probably the safer call.
All right, well, end on that one. We can pick the same for these next two. So Trey, lead us off. Who's gonna suck this week? In Cup, that is.
Well, it's a road course, so that definitely throws in a little curveball. I'll just say Joey Logano. I mean, he had his run last week, but it might be back down to where he's been running all season, maybe. I don't really, when I think of Joey Logano, I don't really think of him as like the road course guy. Although I did look, and I think he finished third at Sonoma last year, maybe. But yeah, I don't think of Logano as the road course ringer. So I think Logano is going to have a down race.
Yeah, Logano hasn't won a road course race since 2015, but he's often in the mix. He's okay. My pick, though, is a different Ford. I think his teammate will do very well. He's a great road racer, but Brad Keselowski has struggled at road courses in recent seasons.
All right, like a couple of years ago, this car was the hottest one on road courses. Now, I wouldn't trust this team. I wouldn't trust this car right now, especially after Gateway and then crashing out in Indy testing. It's going to be Kyle Busch to be the one to suck this weekend.
I don't necessarily think you're wrong, but I do think that it's going to be a team thing because Austin Dillon. I'm just going to go easy on that one. And the chat's going Brad as well.
Yeah,
all right.
I agree.
So who is going to be the dark horse this week for Cup?
Okay, you can go ahead and tell me if this is not classified as a dark horse, but I kind of think it could qualify. Michael McDowell. He's like kind of the road course ringer of the Cup Series right now. It's not crazy for him to run well. It's like one of his better style of tracks, and he's on some high momentum, getting some poles this season. So I don't see why not.
I'd still say McDowell is that, because right now I would not feel comfortable picking him to win, even though he's good. I would not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
He's like 24th in points. That makes him an underdog. I don't care what track we're at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice tonight. Like, I was mean to Kyle Busch earlier, so I at least said, hey, he'll get a top 5 this weekend. I was mean to Daniel Suarez earlier. I think Daniel Suarez is a good underdog pick. He won here 2 years ago, solid road racer. I think this is a chance for him to turn his summer around.
I'm going to go with the guy who I had as my number one Xfinity pick, and I think he'll get a top 5 in this one, Ty Gibbs.
I'm going to go with our guest here, Michael McDowell. I think McDowell will be a top 10 guy, but he is not going to, I don't think, be in contention to win unless they magically get rid of stage cautions. Now, who's the check? I haven't been paying attention. Damn.
They're going the
Cam
60
Waters.
car.
Well, I guess better to do it as a dark horse than do it as the win pick. And speaking of which, who is going to win this week at Sonoma?
I am kind of glad I looked at the last year's finishing results, but it's not for the reason. I'm not just going to pick the guys who did well last season. I'm actually going to go with the guy who finished dead last in this race last season, which is Denny Hamlin. He's him as the guy who was very vocal about the Sonoma repave, so I think it'll be a little slap in the face to take home the checkered flag there. And he's not a bad road course racer. He hung with Stewart back in 2016, 10 years ago. So yeah, right. Denny Hamlin's my pick for this week.
That's good. I've only wrote down one pick this week because I figured there was zero chance y'all were going to take this guy from me. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see if I break any hearts here. Chris Buescher finished second and fourth the last 2 years here. I think he wins. Chris Buescher.
Sorry, I'm going to go with who is still my number one pick, still on the board, Tyler Reddick.
That was my second pick.
It's a good pick.
Yeah, this is a difficult one. This is really difficult, but chat's gonna hate me. I'm gonna go MTJ.
Oh,
Because they wanted him.
They're
wanted
gonna
him.
hate me.
All right, what's the swivel chat? Where are you going now?
pivot.
Pivot.
The 5's coming in.
A lot of
Five.
Larson, some Suarez.
A
Ooh,
lot of
there's bold.
99s.
There's a couple of them. They're pretty pissed.
Larson's coming in pretty strong now.
There's some 9s. What's the
still
ones
kind
you
of-
see the most? I'm on pull them.
5, 99, and 9.
I'm probably seeing the most 5s, but it's not. It's starting to lean 5.
I'll pull them just in
Take
case.
the 99 out. It's more 5 and 9.
Yeah, go to those two.
Okay. All right, pulls up.
Some people are saying 17 as if that wasn't just took already.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, just letting everybody know that this time next week, Race Hub will be no more. So if you're someone that's new coming in here, might not know like the rules of this, Race Hub refugees are welcome. We welcome all Race Hub refugees to this show.
But you're on a tight leash. You hear me? Just kidding.
Oh wow!
It's pretty split. You can give them a few more seconds, see if one of them makes a comeback. But
It's not that split. It's 55-45.
yeah, it's more even than I
Is-
thought it would be.
Are the votes counting on your end? Because wow, it's getting a little closer.
Mine's
I mean, it's
170
showing
votes.
55-45 to me.
It froze
it's
up
been-
on my end.
It's holding pretty steady, unless I think they're just voting pretty consistently.
You want to cap it? Let's cap it off at 225. How about that?
Very specific number.
Well, it's a road course. You know how road courses sometimes it's like the Cheese It 355 at the Glen,
I see. So you're just in theme.
the Pacific Automation 147.
Well, we still need 30 more votes. I don't think
I don't think they're
think
gonna.
this gap is getting made up in 30 votes.
Oh, it's humid. We're ending it.
Yeah.
You
All
got
right,
Larson.
Kyle Larson. That honestly might be a really good
I-
pick too.
I am shocked. Yeah, I had Larson as my second. I'm shocked no one took William Byron.
I almost did.
I thought about it. Yeah.
He was my 3.
He was my 3 as well.
He's been more inconsistent lately, I should say.
Like he's had a late season fall off. He gets those first few wins, gets comfy, and then he joins Bowman for some reason.
All right, guys, let's finish this off. We get the final super chat stage break of the
Nice.
night, and then we'll head on out of here. So, Austin, thank you for the 5 here. Random thought: you can always tell when someone started watching NASCAR by how they pronounce Bobby and Terry Labonte's last name.
It's like La Bonnie.
I've heard it Labonte as well. I do think that sounds cooler, but I've only ever heard it as more like a Bobby Labonte. Like people say it as like a joke.
I don't even. There's no T. It's just La Bonnie.
Yeah.
But I have heard people like when they're newer or whatever. I should test this on Riss and be like, hey, can you just read this name for me? Because like whenever I hear people who didn't watch when they race, it's like Bobby Labonte instead of Bobby Labonte. Like you just say it in one fluid motion, they're like Labonte, like a robot. Garabuki for the 777. Shout out to my boy Carson Hocevar for continuing to be the greatest decision Spire has made and somehow carrying the team despite being a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's wrong.
He's not.
That's yeah.
A Prada for the 5. Hard to blow an engine in 2024 when the engines are gutless to begin with. 670 doesn't
That's
do enough
true.
to typically strain the engines without driver error.
That was Bell's words. He called them gutless. This is just the engines fighting back.
Say, I'm gutless, huh? Well, I'll prove you
I'll
wrong.
show you gutless.
Hunter Nixon Fishing, thanks for the 10. Behind the wheel, Blaney really is Russell Crowe unhinged crazy. If you've seen that movie, it's true. Noah Dunn for the 2, first super chat in the channel. Cindric 2 wins in the first 93 races. Chase Elliott 0. Stoking the fire with that one.
Yikes.
Irvin Alvarado for the 2. Wafer cookies are better than waivers. Yeah.
That's very specific. Oh, I see where he's going. I got it.
Corbin Rogers for the 10. Every race we watch with JJ Yaley in it is history. 709 starts in all 3 series combined without a win is the most all time.
Is that true?
Damn.
And it's even sadder considering he drove the 18 car.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's a good random driver of the week clue right there.
Did we already do JJ Yaley or no?
I don't think so.
I have the list at the bottom of the itinerary if you want to check.
You could honestly probably do it again and still have a fair shot at getting this.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd forget that. I would forget that clue.
Austin for another 2 here. Solution to the waiver problem: end the playoffs.
Imagine Jared does do JJ Ely. The last fact, he has been done before.
If we have a Wednesday on April Fool's Day. Mitch here for the A799. Is that Australian? I don't know which one that is. Again,
I don't know
American school system here. The waiver rule / need for waivers also protects the TV network's investment, as NASCAR can sell them a guaranteed number of cars and star drivers. True.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Grid flow for the 2. NASCAR is going to have load management like the NBA. Eric, you know NBA more than me. What's that mean?
Load management. I don't know what they've changed in the rules especially, but that became an issue in the last 10 years of star players resting frequently during the regular season. And it became a thing like, say you're a fan in Portland and the Lakers come to town once a year and you get to see LeBron James, but because he's old, he's just resting tonight. Doesn't have an injury. He's just out for load management because, he's saving his health for the playoffs. Like, that sucks. A lot of fans complain, rightfully so. And so I think they have introduced some rules to limit some of that.
The more you know. You learned something every show.
It was happening a lot. LeBron, the older players, the star players on good teams were resting a lot for no reason other than to rest during the regular season.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
SW for the 5, begging NASCAR to race the beautiful grassy hills of Sonoma. It's more appealing than the terrain of dust. It's true.
Yeah, they won't do it, sadly.
NASCARson for the 5. Hey, NWP, Portland, Xfinity, big crashes, but SVG made a new fan with his burnout and autograph ball thrown to the fans in the stands. It was a great celebration.
Yeah, it was fun.
CW
that we got to watch most of side by side during a commercial break.
Yeah. Oh no, Race Hub refugees, we won't do that to you. CW here for the 2. McDowell will make it through to the round of 8. I hope so.
He's got the Roval and Talladega in that round of 12. So
Dominion 42 leaves a 5 and a 2. One of them here says, I wish we could get a Portland Cup race, but I know it's not feasible with the only other nearby track being Sonoma. Back-to-back road courses would be nuts. And says, we both got buckets of chicken. You want to do it? Let's see. Daniel here for the 5 says, any chance Kyle Busch makes a dash back to Gibbs, a prodigal dash back to Gibbs? Been a fan for 16 years and can't bear 5 more years of meh. This must be how junior fans felt for 15 years. More like 2, but those aren't going to gain you any sympathy. Will Griffin for the 2. In the words of Kyle Busch, it's always the crew chief's fault. It's never Kyle's fault. Oh, wait. Yeah, I said that about Junior, but it fits for Kyle right now. Will Griffin for the 2. Will a hot track help increase tire wear at Sonoma? Hopefully.
It could. We're not the right people to ask, but I know there's like a difference between temperature wearing, tires just getting hot and wearing out versus actual abrasive surface wearing them out. I don't know the difference exactly, but the track will be more slick theoretically, a little slipperier.
By the way, I should bring this up for the chat here. Napa Racing fan said Harvick's podcast will replace Race Hub. It won't. It's that slot is getting replaced by a rerun of Colin Cowherd. So,
my favorite.
7 more years, guys. 7 more years.
Maybe he'll add a NASCAR segment to his show.
Look up Colin Cowherd NASCAR and then tell me.
That's not a good idea.
Was he the one? Who was the one? No, Skip Bayless was the one who said drivers should have let Danica win the Daytona 500. That was
Oh
Skip
my
Bayless.
God.
And that was
Gosh.
still more respectful than what Colin Cowherd said about
All right,
NASCAR.
I'll have to look this up later.
It's like a step above Donovan McNabb.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Donovan McNabb was hired at the worst possible time, right when speed went away, and they encouraged NASCAR fans heavily to check out what they were going to do on FS1, and then they immediately get him on there trashing NASCAR so bad that I think NASCAR basically reached out to FS1 and said, "Get rid of him or we're gone."
Yeah. Plus, he sucked at the end of his career too. Like he's I'll just say this: after how I watched him both on the Redskins and the Vikings, he's one to talk about people being in physical shape and an athlete. Alex Left for the 5 here says, dated music joke. Jared's cold-blooded. Check it and see. He's got a cold of 103. I like that. That's good. Good reference. NASCARson for the 5. St. Louis, trucks boring. Heim again. Cup, finally. 2017 Coke 600 was the last time an unrestricted last laps track fuel problem happened with 48. Got to be a little more clear on that one, but I kind of get the vibe you're going for on it. Alex for the 2. Dang, I forgot Foreigner had that cold as ice. There's a lot of them you could use. NASCARson for another 5 here. Anyone been to the Cup race at Sonoma? Anybody going to the Cup race at Sonoma this weekend? I don't think any of us are. Are we?
We are. Chat, are you guys, anyone in the chat going to Sonoma this weekend?
I will be there to cross the track and not the race. Cross the track and not the racing there off my list. Okay. Maybe it's just I can't read. It's a problem. Alessandro for the 5 here. If or when SVG goes to Cup full time, do you think he will have a better Cup career than former Australian Cup driver Marcus Ambrose?
Yes. No. He will. Ambrose won 2 races.
Yeah, but Ambrose competed at ovals a good amount too. I mean, he was actually pretty good at Michigan.
I think SVG could get to that point at some ovals. I think I say yes because the next gen is closer to a supercar than the old car tomorrow or any of that was. That's the only reason I say yes. I think talent-wise, they're pretty much equal. It's very similar.
By the way, I want to give an update to a earlier super chat from Corbin Rogers. He just tweeted at us on Twitter and said he was off on the JJ Yaley. It's 809 starts now, counting his races this year, but still impressive.
Wow.
Damn. Jeez, there's more. Can somebody scroll down to the bottom and see if I did JJ Alley? I thought I did.
You can keep going. I'll look.
It's all the way at the bottom. And it just reset on me here. Alex, another 5 here. Don't know if anyone else said this, but RIP Parnelli Jones. Yes. RIP.
I think the first one you did was JJ Yaley.
No, first one I did was Shane Huffman.
Well, we have JJ Yaley is listed, but I don't remember it. Maybe was I off that show? I think I was on every show.
I think it was just maybe done quick. But yeah, I did see that. Rest in peace. And I think we're all sending our thoughts, prayers, everything out to the Jones family. We've had Jagger on a couple times. He's a good dude.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Chris Cahill for the Canadian 5. If it's Hamlin, Bell, Larson, and Reddick in the final 4, who's your choice to win the championship? I'm going Bell just because of the track.
Yeah, he said Hamlin, Bell, Larson, I feel like at this rate, if the race was tomorrow, I would pick Bell.
Who you guys got?
I'm gonna go Larson or Hamlin. I'd say Larson. I mean, it wasn't too long ago where he did win his own championship at Phoenix too. I mean, things have changed, but why not?
I'd agree. I'd go for Larson on that one.
A couple more super chats here. Movement for the 2. Anyone going to the Kansas playoff race? I am. I will be there.
I might have to, but we'll see.
I'm tentatively planning to. Yeah, the first one with the spring race was too damn good.
You're going to? Are you guys possibly going?
I'm planning to. I haven't bought the flight yet, but I might drive. I don't know.
It's a track I still haven't gone to yet.
Yeah. After show, I'll tell you about the hotel to go to. It's a good one. Close to the area too. So, and then last one here from Spencer for the 20. I have an idea. Maybe we should have a slogan for NWP streams from now on being the People's Race Hub, since NASCAR Race Hub is going away after next week. I mean,
That's
I
fine.
like it. I think it should say as like a chat thing. Like I like the idea that this show, like between the chat and the hosts and guests that come on, we have like this shared culture that we kind of just grow together. But go for it, man. I like it.
Yeah, I feel funny using it too much because I don't want it to like, I don't want to rub dirt in the wound of
No.
Race Hub. Like it's a shame that shows. I mean, I don't watch Race Hub consistently anymore, but it is,
You won't
you know,
have
it's
to
a
next week
sad
either.
and it's a sad deal that it's going away because that was a huge,
Like,
opportunity for NASCAR to have a dedicated cable show every day, and a lot of people worked on that. So it's.
Yeah.
I also saw that Fox, I think, is laying off like 100+ NASCAR people.
that part of
Which,
it. That part of it
yeah.
does suck. And
So that's my only concern. I like the nickname. I appreciate it, but I just feel bad rubbing, like I said, rubbing salt in the
like
wound.
Eric obviously can't say this because he's way too humble. But as me, who is like a part-time YouTuber, like I do my own full-time job and then do what I can for mine. But I will say this for Eric on behalf, like as a fan of his channel for a long time, longer than I've even known him as a friend. Like he's been working hard doing what he does to provide a way for NASCAR fans to get, I say, free content. Just watch the ads, and there's a alternative to that, and not have to go buy a cable package or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Danny. I do try, and I think we do a good job on this show every week of giving a voice to the fans through the poll, super chats, the normal chat. Like it's a good fun hangout we've been doing for a while now. So keep it up.
And guys, I think that's gonna finish her off tonight. Thank you guys in the chat, by the way, so much for sticking it out with us, having a great time tonight. Trey, where can people find you moving forward?
Where can people find me? Well, you can find me on YouTube and X and not Instagram. Well, actually, I have an Instagram. I just don't use it. But you can find me on all of those at RawGator, pretty much. I once every 6 months upload, so look forward. And yeah,
But they're
if
worth
you want to
it,
drop
man.
a follow, go ahead.
They're worth it. They're really
Thank you.
worth it. But since this is the first time I think we've all talked in a while, I think we all three of us should say congratulations on not only hitting but well eclipsing 100K.
Yeah. Blew that mark out of the water, dude. Congrats.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
might all have to all ask you about the shorts algorithm, how you did it.
Well, so we could go into that, after stream probably, but yeah, man, I'm just the whole reason I started, for anyone who doesn't know, is pretty much because of Eric. I was always watching the stop motions and making my own stop motions. So, hey, man, if you never uploaded, I probably wouldn't have started. So,
Hey, 2-time Dex runner-up right here.
yes.
And
way back in the day.
For everybody wanting to know, both Trey's channel as well as Eric and Danny's, they're all in the description down below. Right there, their ads are there. And if you're new, subscribe here if you want. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. But thank you guys at home. Thank you, Trey, for coming on. Thank you to Danny and Eric for putting up again with my antics. And we will see you guys next week on Eric's channel on, what's it? June 12th. I have a calendar down there. Later, guys. Bye.
Drivers, start your engines!
Ready. Green flag, all rolling. All the way out. Stay in. Come on. Bye-bye, Sonny. See you later. These guys are really good. Keep digging. Stay in the gas. Hang on, dude, baby. Did not hit a thing. Why are you waiting so long, man? Bottom clear, shaking you down here. White flag, hit your mark. Thank you so much. Hell of a job, drivers.
I was just wondering if you wanted to hang out with me and smoke weed and fill our bellies with diet soda and play Burnout Revenge for the PS2.